What's up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? I'm the Celtic Warrior, Sheamus.
Wardlow here.
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Welcome to the dive bar of the IWC. Welcome to Wrestling on the Rocks, episode 1. Thank you, Marv, for a rousing introduction with me today to go over all things Rumblin and Bumblin. We got ourselves Bishop.
What's up, dude?
What's going on, man? You
that was a very arousing introduction.
I mean, kind of. He shit himself. Much the same as Clump is doing right now, which is why he's not here today. Clump, who usually shits himself on air, has decided to take it off air and made it more of a passion project. Yep.
If you don't do what you love, you'll never love what you do.
That's a good point. And all he loves is doo-doo.
So do the do.
Yeah. I almost grabbed a Mountain Dew for my drink today. Hard Mountain Dew. But when it comes to Clump's Dew, it is not hard.
Wow. That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Squeeze one out for the Clump. Clump you
Clump it up.
Yep.
Oh man.
All right, well, there goes our only listener.
That's
Bishop, let's dig in deep. Let's get elbows in and thumbs out real quick. What are you drinking? What's in your glass?
I was gonna do some kayfabe bullshit and be like, I have vodka and whatever. No, it's just water with lime. I grabbed lime. I don't remember if I grabbed the lime. Yeah, the lime water. Yeah. The lime juice in the water.
Oh, the little straight up lime juice. That's not bad, man. Yeah. That's not bad. That's
lime juice and water.
Yeah, it's
I
not
just
about
want something tasty. Yeah.
That's who you're drinking with. I got a little bit of sweet tea with a little bit of vodka because I'm going to go to the gym after this, so I can't be getting trashed. I mean, it helps when you work out a little bit to have a little bit of booze, relax you, and then let the weights just slowly crush you. You know. And big thanks and shout out to Fans for Sports Network for being there.
Cheers.
Cheers. No, this was not mixed well.
Oh man.
All right. A couple things I want to hit real quick off the top. I just found this out online.
Uh-oh.
All day long, Solo Sikoa has been getting dragged. I saw someone be like, "Oh man, Solo's really getting it on Twitter," and I was like, "Should I log in?" And I was like, "No, I shouldn't," and I didn't. I saw someone clarify, and apparently he deleted his account because someone found a video of him struggling to do math at some point.
Oh no, sorry.
And then everyone just started fucking with him.
Wow.
And for a fucking community that's so fucking woke and it's so demanding that people be kind and nice. And then there's always trolls, right? And this is the community that tries to cancel those trolls. How the fuck do we get to the point where Solo's got to deactivate? And how the fuck are we going to rag a dude who had trouble with math? How many people had an easy time with math? I'm good at math. You can find me struggling with math.
I had a tutor in math when I was elementary.
You had a tutor? Clump's tooting now?
I
You
was
know?
a tutor in math.
No,
Math came very easy to me. I graduated high school with 5 maths in 3 years. But
Yeah.
that's not on some nerd shit. It's like that's all I had going good for me. But I
Yeah.
was a tutor and I saw how people struggle. And honestly, I do math too fast that I constantly get math wrong.
Yeah. Right. And that's what I mean. I'm good at it. I did help people. I wasn't like tutoring, but I would like jump in and, help people with some stuff. Or my sister was struggling in college at one point, and she asked me to come take a look at it. I had never taken the type of math she was taking, read the beginning of the chapter, figured out how to do the thing, and was able to teach her a different way of looking at it to do it. Right. So I have a very mathematical and data like mind. That's why I'm in computers, right? It's my data. And even when I talk to people, I sometimes tell them, I was like, look, I'm a very data oriented person, and you're giving me information that conflicts with other data you've given me. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
sometimes we've been doing some stuff that uses counting in a way that seems a little off to me. And I've been like, the counting doesn't add up to me. And I was like, we're counting on different numbers and I'm trying to figure out where the thing. So like, I have a very mathematical mind. And even that is to say, I had a really hard time catching on to calc and trig when I was first taking it in high school, like that I didn't really pursue it again after that. There's always going to be math to struggle with. And even if it was what you determined was basic for you, like I was awesome in geometry. I was the only kid in my geometry class who got an A. But the kids who were getting the D's and C's in geometry, they were flying through calc. You know what I mean? Like math is a huge world with all sorts of stuff. And so, I mean, I guess all this is to say is fuck anyone who talks shit on Solo, like straight the fuck off. He deleted his account and you should delete yours. Like if you said a negative thing about Solo today because he struggled with math, fuck yourself. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, and you said it correctly, man. For a society that is, honestly, everyone's woke in their own thought process, right? Like if you're on one side or the other, and woke isn't even the proper term, but it's what everyone else calls it. They teetotal on their views, and it's like, but how dare you judge me for my views? And then you point out a weakness of a guy who's successful, and you go, I thought you were going to say somebody found the video of him dancing after LA Nights. I'll have him dancing like his daddy, like that.
Oh yeah.
And then I saw the video of a younger Solo Sikoa doing dancing on some grainy ass camera. So that's what I thought. Like he was getting picked on for that, but for math, it's like,
That's
look,
fucked up.
my kid, he's in 4th grade, and during COVID, I had to teach him 1st and 2nd grade math, and they teach it completely different than the way that I learned it.
Yeah.
I have no clue how to get where they want to go the way that they're teaching it now. I really don't. And like I said, I had 5 math classes passed by my junior year in high school. Like I'm really good at math. I could not teach him how they were teaching him. It's not easy. And fuck, man, I'm tired of it because, and specifically for me, part of my own work that I do, I found out through my work that I pick on people's weaknesses to make myself feel better. It's how I grew up. It's a learned behavior from parentals. This is exactly what that is. There is zero people who are making fun of Solo for any other purpose than to make themselves feel better. And that is fucking gross. That always makes me feel fucking gross. They're not saying it to be constructive. They're not saying it to be sympathetic because they struggled with math too. That's fucked, man. That's fucked.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason I brought it up is because I just read it while we were doing the thing. I was catching up on it, and as the intro's coming through, and it just got me fucking riled up. And instead of all fucking things to try and drag someone with, it's their fucking math skills. Like, fuck off, dude. And a lot of math you learn in school, you don't need later. A lot of math is designed to give you the. I mean, this is why I love geometry. Was the proofs. To me, it wasn't about the math. It was about the how many ways can you solve a problem. It was literal problem solving, which you can do. It's getting the mental ability to see the same thing different ways.
Yeah.
And you can take that out of math and apply it to life. And you know what? A lot of people who are sitting there talking shit about that never took that away from school. They never learned that you can apply that to their life. They've applied nothing to their life. You know what I mean? If you're dragging someone for their inability to complete a math quiz.
And
problem even or whatever the video was, I didn't see it.
Even if he failed geometry, he's in a business that has a squared circle anyway. You know what I mean?
A squared circle.
Yeah. It's not even a thing. And he's successful at that. It's a new shape invented by the business that he is awesome at. A squared circle. And he figured it out. Did you figure it out? I don't think so.
And
Solo gets an A+ in my math class. What's up, Justin? Cheers.
Cheers to Justin coming through. And theoretically, let's say he's really bad at math. Let's say he has a learning disability. Then that motherfucker overcame that to apply
be successful
and applied it somewhere else and became successful at his craft at a high level. Is he good at what he does? Yes, he's incredible at what he does. Is he a good person? I mean, I don't know his day in and day out. He's always been good to me. I've talked to him before. He's been nice to me. Like the people I know who knew him when he was on the indie scene were so excited for him when he got to NXT because they knew him as a good person too. So the idea that someone would try to take a learning disability or a learning issue or a particular challenge in that moment and try to belittle someone whose best case scenario overcame that and became successful in a different avenue. Like you said, that person who's shitting on them is just upset because they never figured out how to make themselves successful in a realistic avenue. And I'm not saying this is like, oh, this is a basement dweller, these are their moms. No, they might have a house, they might have a career, but they're not successful. They're not the kind of person that people want to be around. And that part's for certain.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. No, for sure. And look, for everyone out there again trying to shit on Solo Sikoa for not being able to beat math, the motherfucker beat John Cena. Okay.
He beat John Cena.
And you can't even see him.
You can't see him. You can't even see him.
He beat something you can't see. So what if he can't beat math?
Yeah. You know what? Who's math ever beat in the ring?
I haven't seen it. As a matter of fact, Terry Reynolds used to have a calculator and her wrestlers didn't pan out. So sorry, Terry Taylor, but what are you going to do?
True. Also, Dana Brooke. Remember, she was the statistician.
Oh, she was dope. That was dope for her.
See, math doesn't work in wrestling.
Yep, because it always ends. You got squared circles and 3 counts and 10 counts, and the 10 counts aren't always the same. Look at Royal Rumbles from the past. Was every 30 seconds or 90 seconds the same amount of time? They can't count in fucking wrestling either. No offense, Mr. Referee on episode 1, good at math. Come on now.
Yeah, they can't ever figure it out. It always takes them 7 seconds to start counting to 10 seconds. They always take 45 seconds to count to 7 seconds. You know what I mean? Like, it just...
The only one
that you can do math.
The only one they get right is the 5 count that goes to 4. When they're in the corner, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Get out of there. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's the one they nail. All the other ones,
they got.
Yeah, that's their geometry.
That's their It's just bullshit, dude. And Justin says the fact that people are literally mocking someone because of math shows how low people truly will reach. It's pathetic. It is fucking pathetic.
And again,
to see if I'm seeing it, like I said, if I'm seeing this video of a dude struggling at math who I look up to because of what he's actually accomplished, I don't look at that as a chance to mock someone. I look at that as a chance to be like, dude, he didn't let that stop him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That didn't get in his way. Like, fuck. That's why I fucking can't stand the IWC, dude. That's why I drink in the IWC. So I've got the dive bar of the IWC. It's fucking stupid.
Cheers to Solo Sikoa.
Cheers to Solo Sikoa and being a
You're the
fucking,
fucking man.
badass. The fucking man. We were watching Rumble too, and I was all like, God, I want fucking Solo shorts. I want his shorts so bad. Shorts are so fucking sick. I don't even know if they sell them.
What
they
you really
don't-
need? You know what you really need?
Hmm.
You need a solo thumb. You need the
solo
solo
thumb?
thumb. Yeah.
I just need a
You
thumb.
always, yep, you're always around thumbing.
Yeah.
You always want to be thumbing something.
Summon and gumming, you know?
Yeah.
Solo figured that out early. And I even said it early. Remember, I kept talking about how Roman thumbed him. And then Solo comes out and was like, Solo thumbed him. And producer lady was all like, quit saying that. And I was like, watch what he did. And then she walked into the room and she goes, oh, I guess he thumbed him. And I was like, I've been saying.
Yeah. The most underutilized part of the human body. The one that makes us human. The thumb.
Yeah.
The thumb.
The other thing I wanted to bring up real quick, as far as talking about like news and stuff, is really just like, because I don't know that it's irresponsible not to bring it up, but I guess you just kind of fucking have to. But all the Vince stuff, but bottom line, there's a whole lot of fucking legal shit there. I've read some of it, not all of it. It all sounds fucking awful, and it all sounds bad. And him being out and away and far away from that company is as good as ever. From a fan of WWE product specifically, it's safe to say that the past couple years where he's been away from it has been some of the best. Triple H even said they're doing numbers right now that beats the Attitude Era. This is the most successful it's ever been as he stepped away, right? I think the idea of putting The Rock in the board right now is as good a time as ever. He's the most beloved man in all of humanity. I think also that with any luck, we can take this and flip it and let Vince go wallow in his own shits, in his own turds, and let them figure that out. We don't need him back. We don't need to see him anymore. I wonder what they'll do historically, if they'll just refer to a Mr. McMahon and never refer to a Vince McMahon ever again. Because you can't have the history of Stone Cold and not mention Vince, which is weird. And I mean, you look at the Attitude Era, and even slightly afterwards, he was fucking prominent. Like he wasn't like if you were to erase Brother Love from history,
more so after. Sorry to cut in,
Go
but
ahead.
more so after the Attitude Era, he was more
Mhm.
prevalent because he stuck with Corporation and Austin during the Attitude Era, but
Yeah.
post he was all over the place.
Yeah. And so I don't know if it's how successful you can be historically and avoid him always and forever. But I do think they're going to limit that. And I hope that The Rock takes this realistically as an opportunity to show what this company can be and not what it has been. This is where I think The Rock needs to, as a member of the board and a member of a family that has long lines of success without wealth in the wrestling business, and use this to show that we are a corporation and we do things the right way, set up something for the legends the way that the NFL does for their old timers. He's took the XFL and merged it with the USFL and has made the AWAFL. I don't know what it's called.
UFL.
The UFL. The awful? Oh, why would they call it the awful, dude?
It's the worst. It's the worst possible combination.
You could. Why did you? That's the awful. That's how you spell. And not in England. You're talking about your jibs. That's your giblets. Your giblets. The awful.
But it's the United Football League, so it has the the cachet of its name itself.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
I guess if it's United, USA. But let this be an opportunity for him to show, hey, let's take out the trash with the past and let's move into a new era. We're a massive corporation. We do billion-dollar deals here. We don't do anything with an M. Let's take care of the people. Let's make our wrestlers employees. Let's give them the things that they need to survive, even if they don't end up on top. Like, yes, Stone Cold's set for life. Yes, Becky's set for life. How's Dana Brooke doing? You know what I mean? She was there for a long time.
Right.
Matt Cardona just said this the last 2 years on the indies. He's made in 1 year, he made In this past year alone, he made more than he ever did any year singularly in WWE. He was there for 14 years.
Yeah.
Those guys need to be taken care of. Is Cardona working because he has to, or because he just loves it, right? And you should be allowed to do both, right? But if you love it and are passionate about it, you should continue doing it because of that alone, and not because you need it when you've been with the company for 14 years.
Yeah. So I get, because I don't want to get too far away from that because we already got a little bit far away from Vince. You've always said when someone loses their job, it's not your fault if they can't pay their bills because they're shitty with their money, right?
Yes.
So
we also got to get money.
Right. Well, sure, but the ring value, the cachet of Zack Ryder isn't the same as Matt Cardona. So, like, can you pay Zack Ryder Matt Cardona money? Probably not, because there's not enough time on TV. There's not enough space for him to create main events. There's not enough, area for him to do those things unless they have an additional show or a different type of traveling circus that he is doing by himself. You know what I mean? So, like, there's kind of both there. But if they do create some type of, kitty or honeypot or what have you, that is an umbrella to feed people afterwards, I completely agree with you. But I definitely think it's two separate things. The earning potential per year in WWE is based on your individual success. Is the spotlight big enough for him to earn that? Probably not.
I'm not saying pay them all more. I'm saying take care of them when they're done. Like, if Matt Cardona needs a hip surgery because of 14 years of Zack Ryder bumps, he shouldn't be starting a GoFundMe. Not that he does or has or any of that. I'm just using him as an example. But so the dude who's there for 14 years shouldn't have to go to a GoFundMe to get his surgery of a new hip because Zack Ryder took bumps for 14 years. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean. Like, we got to take care of them. And it doesn't mean everyone gets paid a blanket massive salary like it's a TV show. And even then, the Friends cast got different pay for years. Different members, right? And because they've talked about it, and was it Matthew Perry talked about how the day that Jennifer Aniston walked him into the thing and said, pay us the same, and like she demanded, because she was getting paid so much more than him, she was upset by it, which was a cool thing. But at the end of the day, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, we don't let them unionize. We don't take care of them either. So and that's part of
part of my issue with capitalism on a whole is where something like this happens, where they can create an entire profit for the year and then bonus out their wrestlers in the millions because they've made billions this year, and they don't do stuff like that where the profit is there by the end of the year. Matt Cardona should never have made more out of WWE than in, just off the base of how much the entire company generates from these guys, like you said, who don't get a chance to unionize, who don't get a chance to, build wrestling pensions from an internal salary with tenure, if you will. So, and Vince was always against unions. I remember a story. Even Hogan wasn't he the one? He was on board, but then Vince talked him out of it, some shit like that, like back in the early 90s.
Well, because Ventura was trying to do it, and basically what it came down to is if Hogan won't, then none of us can, kind of a deal, and Hogan wouldn't. But I also, not that it was ever right, I can in my mind understand why in a territory era that would have been very problematic for the companies and for smaller companies. And WWE being the biggest company can have a trickle-down effect onto the smaller companies. What we have discovered is even when you see AEW pop up, one of the things they said is that they were going to be different, that they were going to have employees, that they weren't going to independently contract them, that they would all get benefits. And what that really translated to is we've selected some wrestlers to be in the office so they can have those benefits, while the rest still get the same old bullshit that we've been saying we wanted to get rid of long ago. So,
like, could you imagine a wrestling union that when a Matt Cardona gets released, and sorry, Matt, for picking on you, but you're the name that came up, and I'm sure he doesn't care because he's thriving. But imagine he gets released.
If you don't see what he's doing, look him up, buy his merch.
Oh yeah, no, he's kicking ass. And he looks phenomenal too. That picture of him holding the title on Jericho Cruise, it's like, Jesus Christ, this guy's a a machine right now. But let's say he gets released from WWE, at the end of a contract, so not renewed, absolutely free to go, right? But he still has union ties. So when he goes to a new venue like a CZW or whatever pro, that there is a contractual rate that is already exists. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
that carries through to territory to now, like you're saying, all those little territories that, if you want to put on a show, this is what you're going to have to contract rate for someone who's been doing it this amount of years in the union itself. Because as you have tenure with the union, your wages go up. So I would think it would be something great to have happen, but
Yeah, but see, that's the exact reason why people talk about against the unions is that it would actually put a ton of indies out of business if they can't hire people because their union wages are so high, right? Because you went to WWE and you were there for so long, your wage is so high that we can't afford them. And then as people get released, especially by the hundreds at the time, into the pool, well, now the pool is so expensive we can't bring in anybody.
Well,
And
I
now they don't
know,
get work and the company
yeah,
can't afford them.
I know
But
one of your things is not understanding contracts, so I won't go
yeah.
too crazy into. But on a negotiated level, you can reduce a rate based on profitability. So
Oh.
if you're in the middle of Iowa, that same union job can be, negotiated less because of the market itself. But when you go to New York City, that rate can't change because of how much wealth is around that area. So, there could be different tiers of, hey, A towns, B towns, C towns, D towns of what the rates would be. And hey, maybe Matt Cardona doesn't want to go to a D town because the money isn't there, and that's his choice, absolutely. But there's chances that A wrestlers will go to D towns because it would help raise the profile across the country. So there would be give and take there, and there's definitely ways to do that.
Plus
And I
merch
think
table.
and merch, yeah, and there again, another thing that could be negotiated in contract is any individual monies made isn't subject to union wages. So if they make $200 to go to Iowa, but they make $500 on their shirts, that's just their money, 1099. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, there's definitely ways to do it, but there's it's for somebody else to figure out.
Cheers to I follow if you can burp coming through. He says, hello, gents. Cheers to you. Got it. You better follow now, dude. If you fucking mean it, you gotta own up to your name, dude. We just hit you with one.
At TW Takes Podcast on Twitter. Week one. Hey, it was on the spot after it was read. It don't need to be strong. Plus, there's no seltzer or booze or anything. That shit was on the spot as it was read.
The plus the fucking name is an I follow if you can get a burp rated 7 or above. You know what I mean? It just said burp, dude. Like, don't fucking back out now. Just trying to see if I got one. I don't think I got one on me right now, but I'll get one. I got tea. I don't got any bubbles. Maybe I should go grab that Mountain Dew.
I just want to say some shit about Vince real quick. I know
go ahead, talk shit on him.
We didn't want to get too delicate and all that stuff.
I just don't know the whole thing, and we're not experts. For sure. And people shouldn't come to us for some sort of legal fucking. And to be fair, go to real news organizations because they're out there covering it like crazy.
To be fair, when I read the text messages that were apparently his, I was like, "There's no way Vince texts like this." Like it just read really teenage thirsty, as opposed to an adult who knows how to speak and talk. Someone who has an issue with pronouns is spelling "you" with the letter instead of "you." Like it really was like bugging me out. But I'm in no defense of anyone, and that's their situation to deal with, as much as basically Triple H said in the press conference. It's out of my hands. There's nothing I can do. My problem, and I wanted to bring this up specifically, my problem with Triple H and how he approached it, it bothered me a lot because he has the easiest out. For whatever it is, I understand there's something out there. Vince is my father-in-law, and it's not something that I can talk about in public. Like, there's a way to say something like that where it's just too close to home. I understand the business part of it, but he's my father-in-law, and I can't bring up his name or anything that's happening. Something like that. But he's just basically like, I'm a focus on the positive and brushed it away. And he can't do that. He can't gloss over it. It's like it doesn't exist in his world. That's a little fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, because the other thing is that thing I just want to talk about the positive just says like, that sounds negative to me, so we're just going to move on. You know what I mean? It's like, well, sometimes negative stuff happens and stuff, but at the same time, like you said, there's other easy and professional ways of like, hey, this is new. We just got it. I don't know what we can and cannot say about it. So right for now, we will say nothing about it. And we'll leave that up to the legitimate news sources, you media monkeys. You know what I mean? Like the other thing too is that like, and I get it because Thurston brought it up, Hausman brought it up. I get that these are people trying to make their livings as a quote wrestling journalist, but this is not a wrestling journalist topic. It is a topic that happens to overlap with wrestling. And this is the kind of situation that can open you up to libel and worse. That you want to make sure that the legitimate, educated, journalistic background people are handling at the highest professional level, because you don't want this mishandled. And if you, as a guy who likes to look at wrestling numbers online, mishandle this, you could hurt the case. And you don't want to do that either. You know what I mean? Like, we want this handled correctly because we want this done correctly, because we don't want that shit happening and we want him held accountable. Yeah. So just being like, I'm going to get all the answers. What do you think is going to happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll be frank too. I know you have a relationship with Nick Hausman. He's the one that I always refer to as the one who asks questions in a way that, like, come on, we're all behind the curtain. I respect his hustle. The guy absolutely loves what he does, and he doesn't stop for shit. He's on a million different things. Always. I got this buddy. I call him Bobby with a new job, because Bobby always has a new job. Nick has another new outlet all the time, whether it's a podcast with all that stuff. So I respect his hustle, but the way he always asks questions as if he's like on the inside too, it's like, dude, like, can you actually maybe throw something to Cody that's going to get a wonderful response that regales us all in wrestling knowledge that comes from Cody, not from you being next to Cody, kind of thing. And with this question, I've actually thought he asked Cody really well to get that type of response. So like, I do appreciate it in this one where it was like, you know, how is this? What is this? And then Cody, again, I have no problem with people loving Cody's wrestling. And I will talk shit on him all the time. He handled this like an absolute fucking pro.
Yeah.
And I thought his response was beautiful. And it's exactly what we needed to hear to go, or at least me. I needed to hear that to go, okay, there is no blood on my hands for continuing to watch WWE right now.
Yeah. Yeah. There's that too. Yeah. I did feel like that Nick handled it very professionally. I actually thought he did a really good job with it. But I also feel like that to be a wrestling journalist before, you used to literally have to have a journalism degree, and you used to have to be published like to be a writer for Pro Wrestling Illustrated 30 years ago. You had to be a published sports author in the official sports publication. Like, you had to have something published in Sports Illustrated if you want to get to PWI.
R.I.P. They're shutting down the paper copies of Sports Illustrated. Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I thought they already did. It's crazy.
Sorry.
But I mean, it was something like that, right?
Yeah.
And so knowing now that all you got to do is log into a website and say, I know a guy, it doesn't hold the same gravitas it used to. And I think that we all know that. And I don't think that Triple H is doing these media things with the expectation that he has legitimate journalism in there. Like, we know who the sources are when they're good. Like, when someone says I'm from Sports Illustrated, we know that person's been put there.
Right.
But when you have YouTubers, I'm with Fightful. Okay. No one takes you seriously. And that's fine, because you're not in a serious atmosphere. You know what I mean? Like, when Vince was going through the steroid stuff and other sex allegations and he held a press conference, they actually said no wrestling news outlets allowed, because they didn't want it to become this thing, this circus, this goofiness. And at the time, it was also very frustrating, because to be a wrestling journalism, you actually had to be a journalist. So it was kind of like, well, fuck you, dude. I'm the one who covers you. Like, so, I mean, I understand that too. But yeah, I don't know if the press conference after Royal Rumble is the place to it's the place where you bring it up like how Nick brought it up. But
And
you
then
can't
move on.
hound the guy, and then you
Yeah.
move on. But you
Yeah.
can't hound the guy because you say, hey, make your statement on it so we can all say it got said, but we all know what we're doing here, and this isn't this, right? Like, and
Well,
I
that's
know
the other
that
thing too. I would have wished that Triple H came out and said, we know that you guys know this legal issue with Vince does not pertain to WWE and TKO anymore because he has resigned as an ongoing or in that sort of way, right? Because even the way he did phrase it, that this is being handled by TKO, which is, dude, the fucking partnership that they have is brilliant because, dude, Triple H is just like, dude, all I gotta do is worry about WWE. All that other shit, TKO handles that. And as soon as he said that, I was like, that's what this is for. They knew this was coming. That's what this is for. It secured Vince's money and it left WWE to prosper. It's a brilliant idea. Again, I apologize. I hope everyone who's going through this comes out the other end better, grateful, for having life and being just better people. But yeah, man, it's a shitty thing to have happen. But to the point of AEW's press conferences, to compare how much of a fucking joke they are, how much they don't allow these type of questions to be asked about Jericho and his allegations, to where everyone's all buddy. These are real questions for real people at these WWE press conferences, and you get real responses. And I appreciate that. So I'm glad, to your point, when you said maybe this isn't the place, this was the only time it should be asked, because it was the only place we would get a real response, not some lawyer type bullshit statement going up. So at least we got the response. All right, let's move on.
Yeah. What are you guys going to say about it? Because you have to say something about it, and then can we move on and talk about Royal Rumble? So
right.
'cause that's what they're doing, dude. I mean, these are the same people who go in there and talk to Tony Khan, who just says, I can't talk on that. I can't talk on that. I don't want to talk about that.
Right.
Everything's great. Just Time says, in the end, getting all Linkin Park on me. In the end, Triple H doesn't matter. No matter if Triple H had given them answers or if he didn't, he would have had people wanting to crawl down his throat. Dude, everyone's trying to get up in his throat. Yeah, dude, there was no right answer is the other thing. There was no good way out. It was just how professionally can we get this part done and move on is what it felt like. And yeah, I think that is what it is. But as far as the Vince case goes, go check out Wall Street Journal. Don't come to idiots on YouTube, me or otherwise. There's nobody on YouTube covering this well or educated. They're reading the same thing as everyone else with a lot less sources, a ton of less background, and no education on how to handle this. So stay off YouTube for your Vince news. Come to me to drink and talk about how Bayley's the best wrestler of all times.
I hear you.
All right. Let's give a quick cheers to Fans First Sports Network for hanging out, being there, keeping the dive bar, drinking buddies. And let's talk a little Rumblin, a little Bumblin. I don't know what you thought about the Royal Rumble, but I thought it was amazing. Amazing. Put my Naomi back up. It's off screen, but still. Dude, before we left the house to go over to Gabe's to watch it, GR Lunar alumni, I told producer lady, I was like, you need to bring a cup. I'm going to bring my Royal Rumble cup. I was like, do you want like a SummerSlam cup or something? She was like, I'll just bring like a normal cup. I was like, you got that Naomi cup? And she goes, yeah, but like Naomi's not there. And I was like, I don't know. It's a good cup. I think you should bring a cup. keeps drinks cold. It's a good cup. Looks good, And so she brought it. And then Natty goes out. And I was like, Natty's always number one. Always. Because she's an anchor, a foundation, and nothing good happens without Natty. Not these big clusters. Like, there's a reason she's in every ladder match. Well, I mean, she finally hasn't been one, but she's in all the first ladder matches, all the first tables matches, all the first elimination chambers, the Rumbles for the first couple of years. She was number 1 or 2 the whole time and was the Iron Woman of the match. There's a reason for it, guys. But I think at this point, I've said it before, Bailey's getting real close to that Natty realm of being able to carry everything. And, I mean, not that she can't, she is, and she's being relied upon to do so at this point. And Natty comes out, and then all of a sudden, boom, the lights go down, the lasers come out, the green shoes start glowing and flickering. Dude, the fact she had Naomi written in her hair was so fucking sick. I was so thrilled for Trinity, for Naomi, for all of us to be able to feel the glow again this way. She did a fucking bang up job in Impact. She was doing awesome. She was the only reason we were watching there for a while. Soon as she debuted over there, we're like, all right, we gotta get Impact. How do we watch it? We talked to her at WrestleCade last year, and one of the first things we talked about was before she debuted in Impact, and you could tell she just wanted to be back at WWE. Because I told her, I was like, look, I know what you're going through is a whole complicated mess. And she's like, it's so complicated. And I was like, and I know that it's really messy. She goes, and it shouldn't be this messy. And I was like, but I don't know what you have coming up next, but whatever it is, we want to watch it. We want to see it. We want to support it. And I was like, but I know it's crazy. And she goes, we shouldn't even be here right now. She goes, that's like, she said that we shouldn't even be here. She didn't feel like she was in a position where it justified what was in front of her. You know what I mean? She thought it was a total mess and just wanted to be back, and you could tell. And so we're like, hey, whatever it takes, however long the ride. And we did. We did that. She showed up. So fucking cool to have her back, dude. And then Justin says, amazing knowing Naomi broke the record for the longest in the Rumble, and then Bailey broke that record in the same match. I thought that was great too. Like when she was out with a record. So that makes her number 2. So she comes back, boom, making numbers. Math.
I texted you when it happened. Just a crying emoji. I was legit. I was crying. I am someone who struggles a lot with personal happiness. So I do stuff like this, like hang out with a buddy for 30 minutes and it turns into 3 hours.
Yeah.
I just knew how much this meant to her.
Yeah.
Based off of every time I've seen her in WWE. I've never spoke with her, never met her, nothing like that. But every time you've seen her on WWE TV, she has the biggest fucking smile of all time. So when that music hit, I was so amped, but they kept it dark and it bugged me out. I'm like, why is it dark this long? And it's still dark. It's still dark. And when it popped on and you can see her like composing her emotions, I lost it. I rewatched it again today and I cried again.
Yeah.
I cried again. Like I was smiling and crying because you can see how much it meant to her to just be home, be where she is absolutely happy, and other people's happiness really fucks with me in such a positive way where it's like, fuck yeah, like great for them. So like, yeah, dude, I cried again today. I was like, why am I crying? I was like, oh yeah, just because this is awesome. This is just awesome. And then when she gets overly emotional in the ring with Natty, that's when like it subsides for me because it's like, okay, I just watched it sink in for her. Awesome. Now we go. And man, seeing Naomi back is just amazing. Good for
watching it sink in. The crowd just saying welcome back. The crowd was so fucking happy to have her back because everyone knew that it was bullshit. She wasn't there. And everyone knew that she was too big to be in Impact, like it or not. Sorry. Everyone knew. And they were just showering her with that love. And what I love too is once it pans away from her, you see Natty standing across the ring and she's just smiling like, you ready, bitch?
Yeah.
You ready to get back to work? Not that she wasn't working her ass off in Impact, but it was like, you're back. Let's do this. And it was awesome. Have you seen the Ricky Gervais show called Afterlife? It's on Netflix.
No, but no.
All right, I'll text it to you because I know you won't write it down because you're a dirtbag. Afterlife on Netflix.
You ever see the movie Afterlife with Christina Ricci and Liam Neeson?
No. Is that on Netflix?
I don't know. I saw it like 15 years ago. It's awesome.
Oh, it's really good. But in there's a line that has to do with that about about the wonderful thing about happiness is it doesn't have to be your own.
Nice.
But yeah, seeing her back, seeing the look of Natty, seeing them lock up was just kind of like, yeah, this is what we should be doing. This is it. And I do believe number 3 came in was Bailey, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. Which kicked off the whole thing, dude. I was stoked. I mean, we got Jordan Grace out there, which was cool.
She looked good, man. Like, she gets so much shit online for terrible reasons, of course. She's body shamed to high hell. I thought, as unique as her body is, I thought she looked incredible. She was wildly attractive. Yeah, and yeah, for her ability to move around at that size, looked amazing. She looked great. So I don't know why people hate on her, man.
Well, because I just think it's the obvious.
Yeah.
The obvious, the changes and the voice. Like, there's no way she's not on something. And I think that's what it comes down. Because you lift weights and you get big and your voice doesn't drop. You know what I mean? It does if you've added stuff to it. So I think the obvious is that it is just that obvious. I think what was interesting about that to me was just the fact that I almost thought, oh, I guess we're officially getting away from that wellness program. You know what I mean? Because people were speculating with Randy and AJ coming back so jacked.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but no. And then I see Jordan come out and I go, there's no mistaking it. Yeah, and we'll get to that. But CM Punk came out and he had those puffy steroid titties.
Yeah.
And I just kind of go, huh. I wonder if TKO doesn't have the same infrastructure that WWE had. You know what I mean?
Which is odd because UFC does. And they have to, you know?
Exactly. And so I wonder if under the umbrella of TKO that we have our performance sports and our entertainment, and they maybe treat WWE more like a TV show and less like a sports than WWE was treating itself. So I don't know. But with that in mind, that was my first thought was, okay. My second thought was, as much as I probably catch flack for, I don't believe Hammerstone's on stuff, but I guess it's possible for sure. Just knowing him and talking to him, he's pretty jacked, but he's fucking never not in the gym, dude. And he eats so fucking much. Like, that is the type of dude, he's like a Cena, you know what I mean? Where just machine-like calorie burn, you know? Where some people you go, it's funny, I don't see them do something. I mean, and obviously no steroids are without having to be fed, right? But at the same time, that's one of the things about Hammerstone that people thought wouldn't let him in is the belief that if he's on steroids, well, I saw Jordan Grace and I was like, well, then what's stopping Hammerstone?
Right.
Like, let's put him through, I guess. But
well, regardless, there's a safe way to do all this stuff. I mean, that's been
true.
said. That's been said for years. It's the people who abuse it. But there's also incredibly legal ways that include steroid regimens to get this stuff done anyway. So it's not like it's impossible. Because I look at someone like AJ, who came back incredibly yoked, but he's a man of high moral character, if you will. So I don't think he would quote cheat in that way. So, you know, and usually when you take steroids, your body, well, over a prolonged period of time, your body breaks down. But anyway, so what? You know what I mean? So what? Because, like, again, if this is what they need to do for their ability to perform, as long as there's some type of transparency, whatever, you know, you just don't want them going down that angle path of Vicodins where you're going to ruin your life, you know, because the same thing happens with the positive sides of it too.
Yeah. And I personally have not had a personal issue with the concept of steroids being used in sports in general. But I'm also not educated on the subject. Just not.
Right.
So what does my opinion matter on that at all, really? So I leave that up to them. But it did seem notable. You know what I mean? Because does that mean that some people can maybe come in, or maybe some people can utilize? Like, I don't know what that means now, but I feel like it means something. I mean, also, was it Punk doubled his size since leaving AEW to popping into WWE, and he was gone for 2 months?
Right.
So,
and noticeably with a shirt on the entire time.
Yeah. Yep. And then when he took it off, he had those little milky nipples.
Mhm.
But on the flip side of things, like you said, Jordan Grace had an amazing showing. She looked
Fantastic.
awesome. She looked like a badass. She looked like a beast. Super strong. I was surprised at how much of the roster was putting her over. Because it wasn't just like she was working with a couple people. I like that they gave her and Trinity a moment. I liked it before she even came out. Michael Cole said on commentary, Trinity went to Impact and became the TNA Knockouts champion. And I was all like, oh, something's happening. And then when Jordan Grace came out, I was like, ooh, it happened.
Yeah.
And she looked awesome, dude. There was a lot of people in here who I was really surprised with how good they looked. And Jordan Grace was one of them because I'm trying to be a dick, but I've seen a bunch of her matches in Impact and I've not been impressed by all of them. Some of them I thought were great. Some of them I thought were not. Sometimes I think she's overrated. Sometimes I think that she's underrated. She's one of those talent where I think that her chemistry goes a long way if she's good with somebody or not. But she looked good in here with everyone on the roster. And I think that's notable. Like, if you're struggling on the indie scene with having good matches with some people, it's really easy to say that person doesn't know what they're doing.
Right.
But if you're in here with these people and you're meshing in very well, that's something worth taking a look at. Speaking of run-ins and shouts from the past, TP Poker says hello, friends, and good evening, he says. Good evening and salutations.
Funny enough, I'm looking up the stats. Jordan Grace had 0 eliminations. So as much as she got put over by, her strength and her moveset, she did not eliminate anyone. But she was in there for
good.
She was in there for 19 minutes.
Yeah, 19 minutes. Did a lot of moves on a lot of people. Couldn't take anyone out because the thing is, bottom line, they're just better in WWE. Just kidding. I really liked when Asuka came out. I liked how much they were showing Bayley's face.
Yeah.
Because she was selling a lot. She was controlling a lot of this match. And she had reactions to almost everyone coming out. And almost every elimination. And they kept showing it because she's so emotive. And I've talked about that before. Her storytelling in the ring goes so much further than so many others because of how much in-character performance she puts on. Right? TV Poker says women's Rumble was so much better than the men's. Yeah, to be honest, I'm having a hard time not just saying flat out, this is the best women's Rumble we've ever had. The only reason I'm really hesitant is because 2019 was so fucking good, but I was also second row. And I don't know how much bias is that I was there for that energy. The energy was real. And I remember the moment that we all saw that we all saw Becky won. And I remember feeling that burst come from behind me. Like that energy just flew. Everyone had just exploded for Becky. And it took me a while to bring my heart rate down. My heart rate, it was just going out of control. Like it made my heart just fucking start going crazy. It's funny too, because I am second row, you can see me, and because the people in front of me for the AJ Dana Bryan match got up and left. All you can see is me. And there's moments when they're in that match where you see me just going like, just like trying to bring my heart rate down because it was just so much. So I believe there's a possibility for bias for me, which is the only reason why I might say that this may not be the best. But I think that you're talking 1A, 1B, like 2019 and this one, because what was notable about this one is you had the knockout champion come out and solidify that the WWE WrestleMania main event is the most important thing across the industry. You had them highlight Tiffany Stratton, Roxanne, and Jade Cargill as new talent, young talent, fresh talent that we haven't quite seen do much yet. And we'll get to Jade and them in a bit. You had the return of Naomi. You had the return from injury of Liv. You didn't bring in any legends. And I think that was important because, as I know, there are some legends who are pretty upset about that. However, they have such a strong women's roster right now. They needed so much time to tell their stories that there wasn't room and it wasn't needed. And you don't need to do it every time. They highlighted the women's tag team division throughout this entire Rumble. Constant tag teams coming in, helping each other, hurting each other. Every elimination was done by a specific person to a specific person for a specific reason. And everything told that story. A lot of times in these rumbles, we have just people going out. Who just got out? Oh, this person, this person, this person. 3 more people out. And you go, what the fuck? This one, we knew everyone who was out and how. This was a very deliberate storytelling, tag team building Royal Rumble that at the end of the day also highlighted your winner, Bayley, as one of the best storytellers they have. Asuka music plays, it pans in on Bayley, and she's like, what? She had no idea that Asuka was in the Rumble.
Right.
And then Kairi Sane starts to come out, and she's all like, her? Like, she doesn't know her team is coming in. They don't help her at any point, right? That story is being told.
She helps them constantly.
Yep. She was helping them. Tegan comes out and hugs Natty. Natty, the old vet, tries to throw her out. Bayley chucks Tegan out, and it pans over to Tegan, pans over to Bayley, who just looks over at Natty and just goes, "That's your friend."
Yeah.
Fucking cracking me up. She's giving these snarky responses to everybody. Their eliminations were clever. You know what I mean? Tegan throwing out Natty and Tegan immediately being thrown out and then being made fun of for it. Bianca on the edge while Tiffany is holding onto the braid like it's cliffhanger. The position of it looked so fucking real, dude. When Bayley kicked them, they both just fell down in a heap. And I was like, this was like the least synchronized looking. I watched that bump easily 12 or 13 times. It looked so good, so real. The only part I didn't get at all was Kairi Sane hanging on like she was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But at least she gave up.
Well, that's what I think. I think it was supposed to be a not elimination.
I think so too. I think that was a missed spot. Because after that, it looked like Asuka just went, fuck it, and then threw me out too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That did seem like that was part of the deal.
Yeah, I thought the real put over for Jordynne Grace was she got eliminated by taking the Bianca's finishing move. What the fuck is it called?
Oh, the kiss of death on the outside of the ring.
She
on
took
the
KOD on the apron. That was, to me, was the real put over. Yeah, the real put over for Jordynne Grace was the KOD on the apron. I was like, that's one of the most prolific finishers in the women's division on the hardest part of the ring for the elimination in the Rumble. I clapped. I was like, you know what? Good for Jordynne Grace. Good for Jordynne Grace. Dude,
even Liv doing the Oblivion.
I thought we were gonna get to that later, man.
No, we'll dig in more on all of this, but I'm just giving an overview. She does that on Jade while Bayley's hiding behind her, sneaks in. And as soon as that happened, I was up and I was like, kick her. And she just did the fucking kick. Everything they did made sense. That was
my favorite part of the match. I lost my shit during that spot because everything Jade did leading to that made it seem like she was this unbelievable force. But you put over Jade and Liv at the same exact time. And no matter how strong Jade is, this is Liv's finisher. And the finisher is what eliminates Jade. And then, then Liv going out was perfect timing for Bayley to do her thing. I just thought it was. Because that sequence right there was probably, it was top 3 favorite spots of the night. It was fucking great.
I thought it was brilliant because Bayley stole it because she's conniving. She's cackling. It wasn't that Bayley out wrestled Liv. It's just that she took advantage of the situation and she took a snarky win. I can just push you. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't do her finish on the apron. We had several finishers on the apron to get someone eliminated, and Bayley just stood on the inside long enough to just go boop and just steal it and start laughing at you. Loser, dummy, you idiot. You know what I mean? Like, all of their characters were so highlighted. Even TV Poker's in the chat says you had surprises, you had new talent, you had quality story, you had funny moments that weren't corny, and Nia Jax didn't hurt anybody. Yeah, the Chelsea Green spots, just like a cartoon rabbit, just being crushed by everyone on accident.
And they didn't have to force to get to the spot. That's I'm so proud of my pick for Chelsea for most improved, or because this showed her value. She knows what she is. She knows she's the butt of the joke. She's telling you she's the greatest thing in the world, but she knows she's the butt of the joke. And to do that in this match the way she did, all the way up until her elimination ended the same exact way her experience in the match did, was as the punching bag. And then for Becky to just, fucking cartoon her fucking boop. It was like,
kiss her
yes.
on the forehead and push her out. Such a great
Yeah.
fucking elimination.
Yeah. And I mean, even she was supposed to be eliminated earlier, right? And Piper catches her, and then Piper's like, "Oh, I'm gonna drop you."
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And she's like messing with her, but she's like, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding with you, my buddy.
I'm telling you, like, again, for as much as I hate on Cody or Drew or CM Punk or fucking anyone, Chelsea is someone I could not stand. I thought she held no value whatsoever based on her presentation on TV, based on what she was delivering. What she has done since she's been back, and especially in this fucking match, her ability to be in every single place she was supposed to be the butt of the joke the entire time she was in the match, is fucking amazing. And hey, Johnny, take some fucking pointers. If Johnny Gargano did stuff the way she did, he would be so much more palatable because she didn't overact it. She took it and sold it, took it and sold it, took it and sold it the entire way. The fucking beef planets colliding with her in the middle, like all of it. She's just.
I forget who she was behind in the corner. I think it was Piper. She's behind Piper.
Everyone.
And Nia kept just splashing Piper, not realizing that she's behind her. Just like, oh, so fucking funny and so natural looking.
Yes.
It didn't have to be.
She didn't make those spots about her. She made them about selling what happened to her. And that's the thing. That's the thing that some of these guys don't get, especially Johnny, when he gets in these moments where, like, hey, you're going to get punched in the face. So he's like, oh, I'm going to be knocked out like crazy. She doesn't do that. She took the damage and sold the damage. It was fucking incredible, man. Chelsea was on one, man. She crushed the Rumble. Absolutely crushed the Rumble.
Yeah, she was awesome, dude. And I was about to say I can't think of a woman who didn't do great here, but I actually did. I think I thought of one immediately. Dude, Maxine Dupree was so fucking rough.
Yeah.
Because I rewatched it again today and just focusing on Bayley. Because I remember as we watched it, I was like, God bless Bayley. She's the hardest fucking worker in the world. Fucking Maxine tries to do Carmella go around, but doesn't know how to do it. So initially she almost falls on her own neck. Bayley saves her. And then Maxine just goes, guess that's good enough. I'll do my shoosh spot. Bayley turns around and starts hitting her. It's like, no, we actually have to make that look decent. She goes back up for it because Bayley's like, let's do it again. But goes back for it and then just sandbags.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm just going to arch. I'm going to do nothing. And then you see Bayley, hard as she can, just start walking in a circle like, oh! And then
that's
throw
why
herself into a Hurricane Rana. And I was like, fucking Christ.
That's why I had a hard time with this Rumble. And I agree with you. Like, I don't want to take anything away from it because the first 1 through 20, I had like a hard time connecting what was happening, right? Like the stories, I get it. They were there, but the action in the spots, even when Jordan Grace and Ivy Nile were going together, it was great to see, but it wasn't greatly executed. So yes, my fandom for what was happening definitely overtook it. But when you watch it back, it's like, okay, it didn't quite land. But to their credit, because like a lot of the Bayley stuff, again, I saw that Natty style where like they're paying so much attention to what the other person's not doing right that what's happening doesn't look right. Yeah. So that end result, I have to judge it on my eyes. Go, this part wasn't great. Even what Bayley had to do for Bianca in the corner. Bianca has a spot where she's doing double moonsaults, and Bianca's not timed right for Bayley to come in for the next moonsault. Bayley has to go in, tell Bianca, hey, I'm coming in for this next moonsault. What are you doing? Bayley runs in twice to the corner and has to do the thing. So like those kind of things that happen, it's a bummer. But at the end of the match, that back 10, there was the comedy spots. And then once R-Truth was gone, they were hitting on all cylinders, man. That final run of 20 to 25 minutes was fantastic. And, like one of the things I loved was the Jade Bianca spot. All the Jade Bianca spots came together within the flow of the match. It wasn't forced.
Yep.
And every time it happened, it surprised the crowd. And you got natural pops and natural reactions. And I fucking love that. Fucking love that, man.
And what I liked is that they were doing a little everything you can do, I can do better kind of thing. It was a little tit for tat. It was a little let me impress you. Oh, I can do that too kind of a deal, which I liked because, like I said it before, my only problem with the constant fantasy dream match of Bianca versus Jade is, as of right now, the only thing they have in common is muscle and race.
Mhm.
And that to me is not grounds for a dream match, right? Because their skill levels were so far apart. It's funny that, I mean, because dream matches used to be like, I've used this example before. Hogan versus Ric Flair was a dream match because they were the top guys of the top companies and they never crossed paths for a while. And then when they finally did, it didn't work, right? But that was why people wanted it so bad. What would happen if this top guy technical wrestler versus this type powerhouse wrestler got in a ring together? That's a dream match because you wouldn't see it. So seeing mediocre to bad woman wrestler in one company against top woman in another company, but they're the same race, that doesn't make it a dream match to me. But what this showed me is that Jade's done a shitload of work. And it was funny because before Jade signed, I was talking to somebody who was like, she needs to be in WWE. They put her right to the top. They got to do it. And I was all like, look, she's got the look, she's got the presence, but she's really lacking in talking and skill and ring. But I don't think she can't be there, right? Like, we were kind of both right. And WWE saw both sides. We need to present her as this massive entity,
And they
but
did.
we gotta protect her.
And they did.
Exactly, because they realized that she was not going to mesh well with the rest of the crowd at the time, right? Justin Time says, got to give it to Jade. I've criticized her for so long, but she had an amazing showing, and she did. She looked so good, so impressive. I couldn't believe
1,000%.
it.
But yeah, but Justin's got to let himself off the hook because the criticism was just. It was fair
Yeah.
because that's what the product was. The product was amazing look, star power galore, and then the rightful criticism that came afterwards. And I've always said that as well. I mean, we talked about it when Bianca won the Rumble, right? Like she still had so much room to grow. Honestly, Bianca still has room to grow. So when
Yeah.
you were saying like top flight star and mediocre to below, it's like, well, actually, they're a lot closer on both. Like they're a lot closer on star power, and they're a lot closer on wrestling. But the wrestling for Jade is just subpar, especially compared to the growth we've seen in Bianca, because we haven't seen that growth in Jade. But I agree with you, man. To see these two in the ring on accident, because they could have done it, right? They could have had everyone cleared out the ring and then Jade's music hit and it's Bianca and it's Jade moment, right? They didn't do that. Through the course of the match and the flow of the match, all of a sudden, look who's standing face to face. Oh my God, look who's standing face to face. Not the two strong black girls are standing next to each other.
Yeah. Did you see who they gorilla press slammed at each other?
Yeah. Yeah.
Bianca gorilla pressed Liv, while
Liv,
Jade
yeah.
gorilla pressed Becky.
Yep.
I was like, oh shit. And both those two,
Here
or
we
no, I
go.
mean, Becky didn't make it to the final four. Becky didn't make it that far, right?
No.
But as Justin pointed out, Liv has been in the final four the past few Rumbles, so it's got to mean she's got to win one eventually. And I do think that that's true. In my mind, she's winning next year.
Liv.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. In my mind, Liv is next year, unless something goes haywire. But I think that it'd be her time. I think that as long as she doesn't get injured and she works this year to stay over, but probably get a little bit more over, I think that it could be her time.
Well, hey, listen to the reaction Liv got when her music hit. I mean, I
Yeah.
went bananas for just the ring a ding ding, and then as soon as they said "Watch me," the crowd went fucking nuts. So she's got it back. Whatever she lost after the Ronda stuff, she's got it back.
Exactly. And so that's why I think that very well. Like my prediction as of today is that Liv's winning next year. But that can change. Who knows? Sasha could come back. What'd you think of the R-Truth spot?
That's what he's there for.
Yeah.
That's what he's there for. That's what Judgment Day should have been. Was the jelly roll spot, and that's it, right? It shouldn't have gone on the way it did. But R-Truth coming out at 24 in the women's and then 24 in the men's, it's like, that's R-Truth. And so I thought that was good. To sacrifice a moment for Valhalla, I mean, if she was cool with it, then whatever, so I don't really have a big deal. I really don't have a big problem with it. I thought it was funny. And that's exactly what I said when he came out. I was like, yes, this is what he's here for. But
Yeah.
he's also done it before.
Yeah. He has. I only wonder if what I liked about Valhalla is that she looked intense as fuck. If they're actually booting, so without skipping too much ahead to Raw, I wonder if they're trying to build towards the Viking Raiders and R-Truth in some way. And I wonder if Judgment Day will get to the point where they actually save R-Truth from the Viking Raiders.
No, the fact, and Justin just put it in the chat. I was going to say, I was more concerned with Michael Cole's over exaggeration about the antlers because it turned her babyface. Like they were having a kayfabe discussion that Michael Cole was talking about with Valhalla wearing the antlers. Because like
true.
Michael Cole shouldn't be talking to Valhalla because Valhalla is fucking scary and screams. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, and that's what Pat McAfee said after, this Viking is, I was, or whatever the fuck. So like, I don't know, man. Like, no, R-Truth needs to go back to 24/7 R-Truth, not with the title, but like these random pop-ups and matches that are fun and make sense. I think we ran its course. He doesn't need to stay in Judgment Day anymore. They got to move on.
I agree. I don't know if you have anything else about the Rumble other than Bailey won it, and I even said it before, like we weren't sure who. I even didn't have a good reason other than I just want Bailey to win it, and she did. Oh, Jade picked up Nia in that Samoan drop kind of look, and people freaked the fuck out. But one person pointed out that just like 2 years ago, Natty did the same thing.
Yeah,
Rumble.
yeah.
So
yeah, no, it's look, and again, a reason why I don't like fantasy booking, and I was so glad that I didn't listen to everyone else's pre-Rumble show. There's 2 podcasts that I listened to that predicted the Jade Cargill spots of taking Nia Jax and body slamming her over the rope, and I forgot about Jade Cargill. That's how good they did at letting her train. When her music hit and she debuted, I was like, fucking right. When we were on talking about the Rumble, we didn't say her name. And the fact that we didn't led me to be surprised when it happened instead of even expect it. And I felt like that was fucking awesome.
I could have sworn I said I wouldn't be surprised if Jade showed up.
In that context, though, like,
yeah,
like we can say, yeah, okay, it makes sense, but they're like, yeah, well, Jay's going to show up. She's going to do this, going to do that, going to do this, going to do that. It's like, we might not have went on that route.
Yeah, we didn't.
Because even, dude, honestly, you even mentioned Sammy for coming in, and when 30 was coming, I was like, oh shit, is this going to be Sheamus? Because we haven't seen Sheamus in so long, and I would have fucking lost it for Sheamus. But again, without like fantasy booking the obvious or the cool stuff, like I loved it, man. I thought Jay put on a hell of a show. Tiffany Stratton and Roxanne and Alba Fire were the only other ones that I wrote down in my notes. I want to see the old Alba Fire so bad. I really like when she wrestles, but we just haven't seen it yet on the main roster. I thought Roxanne showed that she's ready to be on the fucking main roster.
She is.
She gets it. She's so good. She's tiny. So what? And Tiffany Stratton is a fucking specimen. She is fucking incredible. The athlete she is everything people wish Charlotte Flair was. Yep. She is fucking picture perfect on everything she does. That swanton she did when she got in the ring, she did her moonsault again. She is fucking amazing. She's outstanding, and I want to see her on the main roster. The only thing I don't like about her is her promo cadence. She just doesn't sound natural when she talks. Other than that, I think she fucking has it, man. She is awesome.
Yeah, she's amazing. What I did like when Tiffany threw out Roxanne. She's like, Toodles.
Yeah. Oh, and to the point, because you brought it up too. When there's no legends, Bailey brought that up at the press conference, and she said that that's important because of how strong the women's division is. Jordan Grace, only one. 29 women within WWE right now that when you see them, they're wrestlers. And that's that's still missing out on women not being in the Rumble. So I thought they did a great job.
Not only did you have 29 women from the company, but you only had 2 from NXT.
Right. Yeah, just the 2, right? Just Roxanne and
I think
and
that's
Tiffany.
huge
Yeah.
because do you remember, maybe before we even talking, do you remember when they had their first Royal Rumble? I remember talking to Kevin being like, how?
Yeah.
Because just a week or 2 before they announced that, they had a women's lumberjack match on SmackDown. They had 2 women on each side of the ring because that was the entire women's roster. They
Yeah.
only had 10 women. And I was like, and that's a bigger roster than they have on Raw. I was like, we went through their whole roster. They didn't even have 15 women. And we're like, how are they supposed to do a Rumble? And that's why they brought in so many legends and so many
and
people from, whatever they
was
could.
I think like 10 was on NXT at that time.
Yep.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of NXT. They had a ton of legends because they just didn't have a roster. Now, you realistically had 27 by our count women from the main roster in this Rumble. That's fucking fantastic. Women are thriving in WWE right now.
Yeah,
Even
it's
though we've
really,
been having
really
some
close.
problem with some of the stories, but
Well, yeah, look, and the last I'll say on the Rumble, like I said, that the first 1 through 20 was a little bit, let's watch everybody do their thing. But from 20 to 30, I thought they did a great job of through the match showing us stuff instead of it being, and those are arbitrary numbers, but that's what it felt like, is like the back third really hit all cylinders. And it's the opposite way with the men's for me, by the way. But no, just, I felt like they finished really, really strong. And I think that's why a lot of people rate the women's Rumble higher than the men's.
yeah, it was done so well. And what I love too is that when it wasn't even the end of the match, but when Bianca and Tiffany got kicked out, the entire crowd, because I heard it today, just started chanting for Bayley. This crowd wanted Bayley to win it so bad. And I loved that because she's my favorite. But as we predicted this before, I was like, I want Bayley to win. I just don't know why she would. They haven't booked her in a way that makes me think she's going to, but I just want her to win this so bad. And I feel like that was the consensus in the crowd. We don't know why, but she's our girl. Hey, want some Bayley? Won't you be my girl? Hey, Bayley. Ooh, yeah.
I want to
know. Won't you be my girl?
Yeah, I hear you. I felt myself watching it going, how could this play out? And it bummed me out on the second watch that everything was so obviously leading towards Bayley and everything was so obviously leading towards Cody. That definitely bummed me out because I've talked about it a million times. I want to be surprised. Surprise me. Just fucking surprise me. And they could have gone a route with Jade winning or Liv winning or even Bianca winning, because Bianca hasn't been in the picture, as far as top story goes. It could have been Tiffany winning. Like, what kind of crazy thing could we have happened with someone who is ready for the moment? But to be fair, in the outside of on screen, the off screen portion of it, Bayley deserves it. Not only has she collected the last Infinity Stone, that there is, but she really does hold it down. No offense, Drew. Yes, you were the men's champion during the pandemic, but we've talked about it. Bayley and Sasha carried the Thunderdome.
Yeah.
They made it watchable.
Yes. I mean, they've made toys from their matches in the Thunderdome. The Bayley and Sasha gears are toys. Not a lot else came out of the Thunderdome stuff except for Bray.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that was kind of it. But I mean, I guess Drew's whole story hinges on the fact that there was COVID, but no one was watching you, dude. So, yeah. But yeah, there was. When you watch it kind of in hindsight, it's easy to see that they're telling the story that Bayley's going to win this. But in the moment, watching it for the first time, it just felt like they understood that Bayley's one of their most entertaining women that they have. So they kept panning back towards her and showing her reaction to this and her reaction to that. And to me, it felt like because she could carry it, right? She could carry the entertainment of the Rumble for 30 people. And so for me, as a massive Bayley mark, I was like, this is great. Yeah, show more Bayley. She reacts perfect. Why are you guys missing it the other times, right? And then in hindsight, you go, oh, because they were telling you the story to get you even more invested in Bailey's win. And by the end of it, we all just wanted Bailey to be our girl and take this win, even though we knew storyline wise and in ring wise and where we were going, didn't 1,000% match up with she's the one who's got to win it. But I do believe the story they're going to tell with her on the other side of this is going to be deep.
That's what's confusing, right? Because like you said, what's her motivation for winning the Rumble? Well, out of her mouth has been Damage Control doesn't have all the gold, so we're going to get it now.
Yeah.
But Damage Control doesn't want her anymore.
Exactly.
So what is she going to do with this opportunity? And that's a strong pivot from the goal of winning the Rumble. So she went an hour and change with this one specific task of it's important to me that Damage Control has all the gold.
Yes.
But it didn't look aggressive that way. You know, like this is important for me in Damage Control because all the Damage Control stuff, you know, she was befuddled by. But
she's conniving.
I guess that's what puts her on Bailey, that is, on like God tier ability, that she went out and won that Rumble with the goal of winning the Rumble. It just wasn't necessarily stated that way. You know what I mean? So the story afterwards is definitely going to have to be it. And I do think they'll get there.
And I have a hunch that she's going to say she wants Rhea's title. And she's going to go back on that. I have a feeling we're going to have on Friday be like, I'm coming for Rhea's title. And then I have a feeling that by the time we get to Elimination Chamber, that's changed. Or alternatively, sometime within there, maybe even at Elimination Chamber, Asuka and Kari or even Io are involved in screwing Bailey out of stuff, and they just flat out kind of are done with her. And she does a whole segment where she approaches Adam Pearce and the winner of the Elimination Chamber all in one little thing and says, we got to switch. And then have Adam Pearce be like, if you're fine with it, I am. Because he does a lot of that goofy shit.
Yeah.
Hey, it sounds like a good idea to me. Ooh, I'm going to put it. So Adam Pearce sounds like to me.
You know what? For the visuals.
Yeah.
Good.
Also, Justin Time real quick says, thought they were going to go Becky getting her second Rumble win just off of Rhea having zero competition. I did think that was very, very possible. While Bailey had her story with Damage Control to get her to Mania without needing the Rumble win. And I felt like that too. However, the winner of the Elimination Chamber is going for one title, and then the winner of the Rumble is going for another. So I still feel like that as long as Io has the title, Bailey's got to win one of those, right?
Well, so what do you mean the winner of the Elimination Chamber is going for the other? Is it going to be dual number one contenders, or you don't think either one of the main titles is going to be in the Elimination Chamber?
No, you're fighting for the number one contender spot for whatever's left. It's how they've done it the last couple of years. Is Bailey wins the Rumble, so she gets to pick who she wants, and then the other champion faces whoever wins the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, but Brock got Bobby's title in the Elimination Chamber. That was just 2 years ago.
Because Bobby was hurt.
But the title was on the line in that Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, because Bobby was hurt, or because Bobby was hurt, so they took him out of the match immediately.
Okay, so specifically last year though, because I don't remember, it was the Elimination Chamber was for both number one contenderships, or was there a title on the line, men and women?
If the title was on the line, it was because Bobby was hurt and they needed to get it off of him.
Right, but I'm saying last year.
Which one was last year?
Elimination Chamber.
Cody won the title. What was the other championship? There was no other championship.
No, because Roman had both.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Roman had both. Right.
But the women, you had 2 titles. What were your matches? You had Rhea Charlotte again, right? And Rhea won the title or won the Rumble. Yeah, and then who was the other champion? It was Bianca against Asuka, right?
It was Asuka defeated Carmella, Liv Morgan, Natty, Nikki Cross, and Raquel for the Raw Women's Championship. So Asuka's title was on the line in Elimination Chamber last year. And the other Elimination Chamber for the men was actually the U.S. title.
Oh, yeah, they did use the title. That sucked.
Because Roman had both titles,
Had
and
both
he
titles,
faced
yeah.
Sami Zayn in the match of the year.
Yep.
Okay. So, but
So then,
I get you.
So then,
and
how
there,
did Asuka get to Mania? You're saying Asuka had the title going into Mania, so Becky or Bianca won it. How did Bianca get her match against Asuka?
by being Bianca. I don't remember. Let's see.
No, I don't remember either.
Can't remember everything, guys. We need Justin to fact check this stuff.
Yeah, Justin's usually on it, and he's letting us down.
Yeah, because you're right. It was Bianca versus Asuka. How did she get it? Very interesting. Wasn't Money in the Bank. But anyway, yeah.
But
Go ahead.
But Bailey won, much to my happiness. She deserves it. She's been deserving it. I just don't think I have enough room on my wall for another plaque, but I might need to get one anyways. Because I got her Money in the Bank plaque, her Elimination Chamber plaque with the women's tag titles. And this is a big one, the Rumble. You know what's funny too is, I mean, she was even saying something like, "I'm going to get my WrestleMania moment." I loved how before she got on the ropes, she took a breath.
Yeah.
When she won, she went up there and she pointed and she did the thing, and she was emotional. And what I loved about that, and why I wanted to bring it up, was because Bailey has been to WrestleMania. She hasn't been, quote, the main event, but she is the first woman to ever walk into Mania as the champion and out Mania as the champion. WrestleMania 33, she came in and left with the Raw Women's Championship and was the first woman to ever hold a title, to successfully defend a title in WrestleMania. And she cried in that moment too. And that's to say that it's not that she hasn't had her Mania moment, because she has. Naomi has. Naomi won the SmackDown title in her hometown at Mania.
Yeah.
You know? So it's cool to see it mean that much to someone when they've already done a thing too. You know what I mean? She hasn't not had her Mania moment yet, right? Cody can say he hasn't really had his Mania moment because it hasn't been what he wanted. He main evented WrestleMania, but he hasn't had his moment, right?
It hasn't been about him.
Yeah, it hasn't been about him. CM Punk is constantly saying he wants to go main event WrestleMania because his match against The Undertaker wasn't good enough. So I don't have no fucking sympathies for him. But it's
best
cool
in the world versus greatest of all time, right? Yeah. Wasn't good enough.
So I'm just excited. It's Bailey. And I was really happy to see the crowd just be so definitively on her side that they also just wanted it to be her because we just wanted it to be her.
Yeah.
And that was cool.
Yeah.
Anything else on the Women's Rumble?
Nope. I thought, like I said, the back half of it really, or back third of it really landed awesome. I loved the elimination of Liv and Jade because it, like I said, it makes Jade strong, Liv strong. And yeah, fucking Bailey crushed it. So
Justin Time does say Bianca was champ last year and Asuka won the chamber to the number one contendership. So you actually saw that backwards.
Gotcha.
Cheers to Fans for Sports Network for
4A. Got it.
Getting us a little drink here. Let's talk the matches in the middle real quick. We had the fatal 4-way for Roman's title, and we had the US title with KO and Logan Paul. To be honest, I don't have a ton to say here on either. They were kind of what you thought they'd be. I really felt like the WWE had a terrific out for Roman. You could tell the crowd after Randy didn't win it was a little, they wanted stuff. They were a little deflated when Roman won it. So I saw there's been people arguing that Solo interfering this time was different than other times he's interfered. But it wasn't. That the idea that it's a fatal 4-way match, so there's no disqualification. So why did he sneak out there then? Why didn't he just come out there and be part of the match? You know what I mean? Like, realistically, to me, it made it worse. The second Solo popped up, I was done, dude. I was done with the match. I stood up. I went and got a drink. I grabbed some snacks. And I was like, all right, well, whenever Roman wins, we can move on. Because it was, to me, absolutely stupid that we've come this far and we can't have Roman look strong. Because I would rather, in a match that's no disqualification, have Roman just start cheating. Just let him be the guy who wins by any means necessary on his own. AJ was using a chair, so let Roman grab a chair.
Right.
You know what I mean? You took everyone's finish, let him kick out of one. Let someone else save him on accident or save him because they wanted to win. Like AJ pulled LA Knight off of Roman at one point because he wanted to be the one to win. Let the people trying to be the one to defeat Roman be the undoing of themselves. And let Roman be like, I can't be disqualified, so I'm going to bring this down to my level. I'm going to use weapons. I'm going to use a kendo stick. I'm going to use a table. I'm going to use a chair. Whatever it took. As long as Roman won in that context, I would have liked this more. Solo coming out, grabbing the ref, and then running himself into a wall and knocking himself out for 45 minutes, to me made the whole thing worse because at no point did Roman actively cheat. Everyone else did. He's the bad guy. Let him be the asshole bad guy who's just more powerful to everybody. I'm just so sick and tired of the same match over and over again. It doesn't have to be because his first year as a champion, it wasn't that. You know, like how he come so far that he can't win on his own.
Yeah,
even when he's allowed to cheat. You know what I mean? He can cheat, he can't win.
Right. Yeah, his first year as champion was high level intensity, incredibly emotional, like the roller coaster you would go on. He quote invented the the nut shot kick out, that kind of stuff. So I agree with you there. As you're talking, I'm kind of like you're kind of soul crushing me because as much as because I loved the match, I thought it was awesome. I thought the solo spot setting it up to make it look like Roman was going to triple stack, but then Roman be the triple in the stack, I thought was a great swerve in the cheating aspect. But as you were talking, I'm building the defense in my head, right? Like, it's because Roman works smarter, not harder, right? He gets other people to do the bidding, and then I just went immediately to he's now fucking lazy, and not the person, the character, and the work of the character is lazy. Roman put on a fucking show. He took everyone's finisher. He sold them amazingly. The way he lays there like he's fucking dead is perfect. Like
so good.
So Roman at his job, and this is why I love podcasting, especially with you. Like we have the ability to say both things and know that they're both true.
Yeah.
Roman is outstanding at his job. He is fucking incredible. This match structure and style came off really well, but the performance of everything put together, you're right. As soon as Solo touches someone, this is yet another match. Roman needs someone around to do something in order for it to happen Roman's way. And that's a fucking bummer because it takes away from what he built. When he was making himself cry in the Hell in a Cell with Jay and Jimmy, this was a performer that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
But since Sammy in Montreal, and if not before that, with all the cheating ways of the Usos, it's the lazy, easy way out for this character Roman. That's I completely understand the frustration in, well, then what are we watching? It's kind of like how I felt with the back half of the men's rumble. It's like, okay, well then what are we watching? Because this is so obvious now. So like I get it when it comes to there's now a point in the match that it's obvious Roman's winning. And that's the bummer. For sure. I can see that.
Yeah, because there was a lot of points leading up to that where you go, oh shit, they're gonna outdo him, and the crowd was so hot for Randy to win here. But the thing is the crowd's been really hot for anyone to take the title off Roman. You know what I mean? They always want it, and then you hear a bit of deflation. There's very people want to be like, oh yeah, you can criticize all you want, but people are there and they're throwing up the ones because we all sing along. So we pay a shitload of money to go there and have fun at the show. And I might not Titus O'Neil's cool, but at a live event, I'm
right.
Because I think he's going to be champion, because I think he's going to win this one, because it's just we're just here to have fun, dude. We're goofing.
Yeah.
We're all drinking. He does this thing. I can do it too. I can mirror you. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Why does everyone sing Seth Rollins' song? Because they fucking love him? No, because it's an easy song to sing and we're all having fun. The ones go up because Roman's here, right? But the second he's about to win, everyone goes, fucking thank God. And the second he doesn't, they go, all right, well. Because for the last year, almost 2 years, it's been the same match over and over again. And it doesn't have to be, because the whole first year was solidifying him as one of the greatest of all time. And now he's just hoping to carry that through with partially lazy booking and
Yeah.
partially lazy character work. Because like you
Because
said,
it's-
I
yeah.
totally forgotten he made himself cry in that Hell in a Cell and then wiped it away and was like, "You idiot." And that was when we all went, "Holy shit, what are we getting here?" And at this point we go, "Oh, I know what we're getting here. He's going to come out, he's going to do a thing. Paul Heyman's going to go, 'Oh God, oh God, oh God.' And then Solo's going to come out, thumb a dude in the butthole, and then he's going to win the match." And just because he didn't win immediately thereafter. That's been one of the
Yeah.
contests I've heard. Well, it didn't immediately turn into Roman's winning in this moment. So he still had to win the match on his own, but he didn't. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it
Well,
was still
and
bullshit.
yeah, and I agree from the aspect of like this character now. So again, when you supplant your dominance, you need to stay dominant to be considered dominant. And
Yeah.
his character isn't that. His character is cheeky, corny, confident, cocky, and completely like over like his ego is above everything else.
Yeah.
But we're seeing zero devaluing of the stud, right? He's still big and bolstered because he continues to win, but where are now going to be the levelings down so he can be defeated? Because what it feels like is when he does lose, it's going to be from a lack of concentration and over ego than actually his opponent. Because that's what he is doing. He's underestimating everyone by just saying, "Yeah, Solo, you take care of your part. I'll go win."
But it's
You
not
know?
going to come off that way. What it's going to come off as, because we've been talking about it too, who's going to be the one who can neutralize the bloodline? It's not who can be good enough to beat Roman. It's who can be in enough places at once to take out the interference before beating Roman. We've had no doubt over the past 2 years that every single opponent he's had is absolutely more than capable of defeating him. It's a matter of can they defeat him and also defeat Solo and Jimmy Uso, or at the time, Jey Uso as well. And so then we've been seeing these little power teams, especially when it came up to War Games. It was, oh, maybe we have a world where Cody Roman is here, but then LA Knight and Randy and AJ can take out Solo and Jimmy and Jay. The game isn't, even from fantasy booking, how do we beat Roman? It's how do we prevent interference? Because the beating Roman part's done. You know what I mean? He's been in the position to lose every single match. He hasn't kicked out of a single finish in 2 years. He gets saved from them.
Yeah.
So you go, okay, well, anyone can beat him, but it's
they
the
don't see
interference.
they don't bring that back on commentary, and they should. That shouldn't be your stat. That should be something that's drilled into us on commentary. As much as he's won over the last 2 years, he has yet to kick out of someone's finish, or yet to kick out after a devastating move is applied, he's always saved. Like, the fact that they don't say that, I don't realize that. You know what I mean? Like, we shouldn't be doing all the work. But I do agree that, like, that's a great point to have in the story. They just need to tell that, because I do want Roman to lose. I always want him to lose in a moment where I am fully invested emotionally, a la the Sammy match, right? I didn't think the timing made sense, but emotions wise, I would have ate up every emotion that came after it, because the build made sense and the aftermath could have been what it was, right? A nice build to WrestleMania for Roman to beat the shit out of him. Anyway, I want the build to make so much sense that I am ready for him to lose. And me and you on this show, I believe it was on episode 1, we built the story of Randy winning. No one else did. And that story is a beautiful one that they didn't take advantage of.
Yeah. Michael Cole does bring out almost every match. Oh, he had him. If it wasn't for the bloodline interference, he won. You know what I mean? And he does say that, and that's one of the things that
That's true.
I forget who he was on commentary with. I think it was Corey, where it's all like, "Oh, you can't argue the numbers, this and that." You know, the heel aspect. But Michael Cole does bring up a lot that Roman's a scumbag and he always has the bloodline to help him win. And if it wasn't for the bloodline, he wouldn't be the champion and all that. So he does build a little bit that they're a necessity, but we're watching it and going like, okay, he can't kick out of anyone's finish. So it's not a matter of, is he undefeatable? He's absolutely defeatable. It's, can we put a cage around him? Can we do a lumberjack match? It's like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, how do we stop interference, because that's the only way he wins, and it's the only way he has won in a long time. And I think it's a total shame because of how much he didn't do it the first year.
Yeah,
his first year as champion, he was so dominant, he was so clever, he was so just diabolical, and like you said, his performances were so top tier that we said this is a different Roman. But after that first year, it's been the same Roman. It's been cruise control. And I think part of that, I think a lot of that is the booking and not him. I don't think he's just saying, I'm not going to do anything new. It's just keep it going. And it's that whole Paul Heyman at the press conference saying, we're in inning 3. And, Triple H being like, oh, we're telling a long story here. This is a story that is being stretched along.
Yeah.
He stopped growing 2 years ago. And that's a shame because he did so much in that first year that we're still, in his credit, he did so much that we're still living off of it. You know what I mean?
That's definitely true. And I think we as in me and you, always look for that next uptick, that next wave to ride instead of leeching off the past. But his music hits. He stands in the ring. He wrestles someone and those vibes come back. And then to your point, it hits an apex. All of a sudden, bang, we no longer feel the way we did when this match started.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see what kind of carrot they tease on Friday, especially with, the Seth and Cody confrontation on Monday. It'll be very interesting to see what happens on Friday. And hopefully, I'm not trying to demand anything out of anyone that I wouldn't expect from a champion, but hopefully we just fucking see more of him so we can hear the story. That was one of the biggest things about Roman before when he built this character is we saw him all the time building the character.
Yeah, exactly. And now we see the bloodline kind of goofing off. It's a little Looney Toony right now. You know what I mean? Jimmy's great. Solo's great. Paul Heyman's great, but they are static. They're doing the same thing every week. And
losing. That's a problem I'm having too, because Solo was protected so long up until he lost to Cody right before Mania. Was he undefeated as well?
Yeah.
That was the clash into Mania that goes, well, somebody's got to lose, and Cody can't lose before Mania, and then they made it look. But ever since then, like Solo's been on this up and down thing. He beats John Cena in Saudi, but Solo's not the monster he used to be, especially from winning. Jimmy loses all the fucking time, and it never really changes anything.
Yeah. Just a bummer. Let's get caught up on the chat a little bit. Universal Championship match. This is from Just in Time. Says it was what it was. It was far too predictable to really care. And as for United States Championship match, it was great and had a incredibly lame ending, which we're going to get to. I disagree, but we're going to get to it. But part of that thing too, the predictable ending thing was it's why I keep saying the Rock and Roman doesn't have to happen at Mania, strictly from a I don't have to worry about sales perspective. I'm not running a business. If you put Rock and Roman in WrestleMania, well, then it's obvious Roman's winning. The Rock's not going to show up for one match at Mania and take the title, because when will he drop it? But if a month or two before Mania, Rock and Roman have a match, they might give it to The Rock because he'll drop it at Mania. You know what I mean? Like for us smart fans who think like that, if he has a title shot before Mania, then he might also be able to work Mania where he can drop it. But if he has only a match at Mania, he ain't picking up that title. And so for me, that's why it's so important that the Roman thing either takes the title off of it, because if Roman doesn't have a title, well, then Rock might win this one and come back again. But if you're walking in there with a Roman champion against The Rock at Mania, there's no chance in the world that Roman doesn't win again. And I just want, like you said, to be surprised once in a while. And a seed of doubt is all we need to go, they might do this. You know what I mean?
Which is why when Roman wrestles, it's so important that no one does interfere because of his ability to sell. The way he gets slumped over after taking an RKO or a BFT or a phenomenal forearm, like there is a comatose to what he is. And he's perfected the 2.99. The guy kicks out at the last fucking second all the time. And that type of drama so those seeds of doubt that he does put in there during the match is great. And if we had that without the interference, I think the character does sustain. But now we need the story to give us the seeds of doubt as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of all I had to say about that match. The Universal or the United States Championship match, unless there was anything else we're missing there, Bloodline?
No.
Okay. United States Championship match, Logan Paul against Kevin Owens. The match was solid. I'm pretty surprised they kept it on Logan Paul, but I guess what we're trying to do is get Logan Paul to carry it into Mania, which does make sense. So it wasn't like the greatest shock of all time. But real quick, Justin Time had said the quality of Roman's reign, the Bloodline story took a huge nosedive after SummerSlam and hasn't even come close to coming back, and I agree to that completely. Justin Time says it's just really bizarre narrative when Roman can't beat one guy clean but can beat three clean. But he also didn't exactly beat them clean, so he didn't cheat on his own. I don't know, it was fucking dumb. Carter the Rebel coming through with the old son of a bitch handshake and says Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns for the championship. Cody wins and Damian Priest cash in and wins the championship. I could see that. I don't hate it. And then they tagged me, so I would see it, I guess.
Shouts.
Cheers to Carter coming through.
Cheers. There's no value in Priest.
Right.
There's no value in Priest. Yeah, so him cashing in doesn't help Cody's story afterwards. Because Cody's, you don't close a book and then retire, right? Like, you're going to write a new book. And there's no, like, if he captures the title from Roman and then gets cashed in on, he's still going to be thirsty for it, but he's not going to lose to Damian at the next pay-per-view. You know what I mean? They're going to have to build something from scratch, and it just wouldn't add to what Cody's been talking about.
Yeah, and it feels like trying to create a loophole. Well, he technically finished the story.
Right.
I don't really think that Cody's story needs to end in a technically. And I think that the problem people have is, well, what do you do next? Right? Well, once he finishes the story, what's after that? And I'm like, the afterword or the epilogue or the index. Like, we got stuff to do, man. Books are long. But like, there's finishing the story doesn't mean that you're finishing the trilogy, right? So I feel like it's just trying to get a cop out where they want Cody to have a feel good moment, but then they also want for him to chase it again because they just don't want him to stop chasing. And you're like, I just feel like that you could do a little bit more with it. So I don't know, but a lot of people think that, and I don't hate the idea of Priest stealing the moment from Cody, but do we need a third year to finish the story? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Just kind of feels like that at a certain point we need to get to a different moniker. We need new T-shirts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we didn't need a fucking second one, but
yeah. And then the U.S. title match with Kevin Owens. I actually disagree with Justin. I actually loved the finish because it was great that Kevin Owens, cheated to get even. He wasn't going to be, Logan wasn't going to get one over on him, and then the referee catches them and is like, "Man, like, why did you?" And so KO lost because the referee was on his game because he wasn't going to get caught twice. That's the same referee that Logan cheated on last time. Made him look like a fool. So you're not going to catch Brian win twice. Mm-mm.
So you're getting some referee storytelling.
Yeah, a little bit.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah, that gets your nipples CM Punk hard, huh?
Yeah, because at a certain point, hey, like, you can tell a little bit of a story with the referee. That's the same referee from before. Logan Paul knows he can get one over on this ref, and this ref's like, he's fucking not going to do it this time. I'm watching everything.
And he even had to bring the brass knuckles in differently because of this referee,
Yep.
I thought, number one, the match was fucking incredible because these two guys do incredible shit. That I don't remember what Corey Graves called it. I just called it an inside-out suplex when Kevin Owens was going to get superplexed, and then Logan Paul was talking shit to Corey Graves and said, you can't superplex him. And then he grabs him, does that inside out suplex, and it's fucking amazing every time. Logan Paul's a fucking animal, man. He's a fucking animal. He's so good at wrestling.
Do you think they hate each other? Because they were fucking beating the shit out of each other, dude. Logan Paul had blood. He was bruised all over. He's got bruises on his face. Like,
Let me ask you, if somebody was going to be okay with receiving as much damage as they take or dish out as much as they're going to take as a wrestler, who do you think that would be? Kevin Owens? Like, so that's how I saw it. Like, no, let's do it. And I mean, look, Logan Paul, he's boxed in real life. He's fought real boxers, the greatest boxer of all time. He fought. So, like, he's taken punches before. He's not going to have a problem taking a punch. So, I think if I had to guess for sure, they said, fuck it, let's do it.
It's kind of that's how I thought. But there's partway through this match, and I was like, they might not like each other, but are doing business. You know what I mean?
Well, that's another thing too. Like, look, Logan Paul's not the most likable guy, right? But you listen to him talk business, you listen to his work ethic. I don't think he would enter WWE with the purpose of ruffling one single feather whatsoever. You know what I mean? Because he values his ability to do business. So he's not going to enter a business where he has to complicate the scenario. So he may have a personality that doesn't fit, but if he's working with someone directly, I highly doubt he pisses them off. This isn't a Matt Riddle, Seth Rollins situation. I wouldn't. I don't know if I'm giving him too much credit, but I think just listening to some of the things that he talks about, there's zero chance him and KO hate each other and took it out on each other. I think they did smart business and were just snug as fuck because they both can take it.
And I also think that Logan Paul wants to do media with bruises. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Because people are watching him, right? Let's see. Carter the Rebel says CM Punk should have won the Rumble. That's hysterical. Broadcast says, "What's up, fellas?" and cheers. And then
Cheers.
Carter says, "The referee knows KO so much, but not Logan Paul." No, it's the opposite story. That's what we said, is that he got one over on him the first match, and so he was keen on the look this time. It's not that he was trying to not look at either of them. Like you said, he actually approached Logan Paul when he was trying to sneak in the knuckles and had to figure out a different way to get him in because this referee was like on it and he saw it. So it was just the referees, a little more in tune with what's going on.
Yeah, I think, and for those who don't know, TW Takes Podcast stands for Terrible Wrestling Takes Podcast because, CM Punk should have won the Rumble. That's a terrible wrestling take. Justin thinking that the finish with the referee was trash. That's a terrible wrestling take. Again, surprise me. Be creative. The entire house. I mean, my kid, the missus, myself, we were riding this match like this. Bang, 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 bang. And that fucking 3 count goes, and the camera angle that has the brass knucks and the eyes of the referee all in line. No. Fucking disqualified? He's disqualified. Yeah. What the fuck? Like, perfect. Yeah. That is perfect execution of riding emotions of matches. It was fantastic. And when's the last time you seen a finish like that?
Yeah. It was great, dude. I thought it was awesome. Let's see here.
And it takes him to Mania. I think it takes him to Mania.
I could see that. I mean, I guess I don't want to be that guy, but I feel like I've seen the match. I kind of don't love the idea of KO and Logan Paul at Mania again. Because isn't this their third? No. Or no, who did he win? Who did he win with the Knucks? Logan Paul beat Mysterio. That's who it was. Yeah.
Yeah, and he did he hit Ricochet with Knucks too? I know it was a punch, but did it have Knucks?
Maybe. It might have been. Do you think they just do a bare knuckle fight
match?
Fucking
brass knuckles on a pole match?
No, just like a trash can full of brass knuckles, like they were thumbtacks. Just pour them out.
Yeah, that'll work. It'd be heavy, but
yeah, I would do it. That's what I would do. All right. Well, cheers to Fans First Sports Network.
Cheers.
As we talk about the end of the Rumble, we had the Men's Royal Rumble match. I love that it opened with Jimmy and Jay because I told you months ago, I was like, oh, we're going to have a pretty cool moment when they have to square off in the Rumble. And I remember you even saying, like, shit, I didn't even think of that. That's going to be sick. We both thought it'd be somewhere in the middle where they just happen to look over and they see each other. but to start it with it was so fucking cool, dude.
Yep. It gave them the opportunity to tell their own story within everything that's happened, because we haven't seen that, like commentary said, we haven't seen them since the split on SmackDown. So you have this opportunity to like fucking show it, and they did it in a way that didn't sacrifice from their own individual stories, right? Like they're both trying to do their own thing, but hey, remember what happened the last time we were around each other? And it just, it was awesome.
It was, dude. It was so good. I'm gonna be honest with you. This wasn't a bad Rumble, but it was okay. Like it was good. It just wasn't great. And the fact that all this stuff had to follow the women's Rumble, which went so well, I think is why people are giving it a little bit of shit. So I don't think it was bad, but at the same time, like I don't have a ton coming out of it. Like Andrade came back, and I was really like, so what? Karrion Kross came out, and I was hoping he would look strong, and then he really didn't look that strong.
I've been saying it, man. He just doesn't have it on WWE TV. Like, whatever the translation is, why people loved him before. Again, this is what I do as a podcaster. This is what I do as a wrestling fan. I just take what's on TV. That is it.
Yeah.
Karrion Kross does not translate on WWE TV.
I think it's weird. But they did the Street Profits Bobby and his little crew. They did do that, so that story's going to continue. And I wasn't upset with that at all. Braun Breaker came out and looked strong and great, and I thought he fit in really well, and he's ready for the main roster. Let's do it. Sami Zayn came back, and that was kind of the whole thing, man. Like, as far as like the structure of the match, I actually thought it was like, I said it when we were sitting there. I went, CM Punk coming out at 27 is a bitch move. I was like, I wonder if they're afraid he's going to hurt himself. And he fucking hurt himself. Then they're saying that he hurt himself on the Future Shock DDT, that it appeared that was it from Drew McIntyre.
From selling a move?
I guess.
From receiving a move?
Yeah.
Jesus.
So I don't know. I didn't watch that part back. I mean, I put it on the Rumble, but I wasn't like watching it and looking for that. I just kind of put it on. But 27, I was like, he better not win, is what I was thinking. I was like, I definitely don't want to be Punk right now. And what I liked a lot is the crowd was clearly wanting Cody to win. As it got close and they were the final two, I was like, all right, this is a little predictable, but it's not bad. It's predictable because there's a story here, right? Let's do something. I wasn't all that impressed with Punk in the ring. That's why I don't get why people wanted him to win. Watching it looked like he was on steroids. He looked slower than other people. He looked out of time. Like, I didn't see an impressive showing here. And you could hear the crowd just audibly wanting Cody to win. As it got close, when Cody was close, it was boos. No. When Punk was getting close to going out, it was, oh, yeah, chanting for Cody, so far as I could tell. I don't understand why people wanted Punk to win here. It felt like it was going to be a shoehorn. You never want someone to get hurt, but it's not like it was a serious injury. The guy didn't break his neck. He's not out. His career's not over unless he wants it to be. It was a torn tricep. So I also don't feel like we have to tiptoe around him being injured as a thing. I kind of think it's a blessing in disguise, realistically. I feel like he was going to be so forced so fast, the crowd is not warmed up to him. Even when he came out and his music hit, the crowd was still pretty 50-50 on it. Producer lady was sitting right next to me. She goes, wow, they're not going nuts for him. And I was like, because he hasn't earned it yet. Not to this crowd. And so I think that him being out for this one is going to be best for everybody, including him. Because if he can come back healthy and do a story, he'll have more time to do that.
And he's also going to be now around what is great, right? Like when he wasn't in WWE, it was his perception of what it is in WWE. But now that he's been here, been around, watched people do their thing, he's now going to see this is the level of competition. Now, if that helps him make an adjustment, great. If he doesn't, he's going to get left behind. And those are the things that I've been saying as well for the last, anytime his name's brought up for the last 5 years on my show, or 4 years, doing the podcast. Like, it's exactly what I've been saying. Like, why do you want him back? Because his performance and his give a shit just isn't there. And then when he has his opportunities, We said it on episode 1. Hey, do you think that like they're keeping him off TV because they're afraid he's going to get injured? And
Yeah.
it happened. It happened because that's what happened in AEW. Every time he had a major moment, he got injured. And that's no slight, no hate, no nothing. It is a matter of fact. He cannot withstand wrestling. So then don't have him wrestle. Bring him in for his name. Bring him in for his cachet. Bring him in for the fact that people cheer about him. Sure. And then let him earn something. He should be a fucking manager or commentator or whatever and earn stripes somewhere else. But in the ring, he can't fucking hang. And it's proven right here. You know?
Yeah.
Hey, and I'll tell you what. Props to CM Punk for finishing the match and doing the things he did with a torn tricep, right?
Yeah.
Shouts, because he did a ton of stuff with that arm. A ton. So, you know, thank you for that, CM Punk. But there was no way that I wanted him to win because I saw everything you saw. He's slow. He's weak adjacent. Like, he didn't look overly strong. You know, he got a lot of help from his compadres there. So, yeah, man, it's tough. It's tough. And that's just on the CM Punk part of it. The whole Rumble being predictable for Cody was a real bummer for me because, again, I want to be surprised, but I like the front half of the Rumble that did all the spots with the luchadors. They had this nice luchador section where they're talking about second generation, all this. Andrade doesn't really do it for me. But if there's a chance that he can be improved, great, you know. But what was his lack beforehand, right? His connection with the crowd. So can he connect with the crowd and perform? Hey, Santos has been doing that. So, you know,
I'm not trying to like vie for people to not have jobs or anything. You know, people should work, but he's not been proven successful anywhere he's been but AAA. Like, he was a big star in AAA. But
solid in NXT too. I like his NXT run.
Sure. Was he the top guy in NXT? When he lost the title, were you like, oh no, what are we gonna do? When he got called up to main roster, where you're like, well, what's it gonna look like now? He just had a good run on NXT. Nothing stood out, right? So, and the biggest thing that stood out was Zelina. You know, and he wasn't clicking until they put Zelina there. They bring him to the main roster, and he's just kind of there, and he's getting no connection from the crowd whatsoever. He goes to AEW because he demands that he gets out of this contract. He wants to leave because he wants to go AEW and prove what he can do. And he goes there and he doesn't connect there either. Then he gets into fights backstage. He does whatever. I mean, all that's politicking. So he's back now. And I've seen nothing since a decent run in NXT that's made me go, this is going to be good. I go, okay, I guess he's back. So we'll have to see. Like, I mean, we've talked about a few things in the past couple of weeks. There's a number of people that have flipped us on opinions and stuff. And Justin Time talked about Jade, and we were critical of Jade too. But like you said, it's not like we're not watching and not hoping for the best.
Yeah.
Let's see what you got, because there's a bunch of crew guys here. And I think, honestly, the best thing for Andrade is to be attached to the LWO or Delgado so someone can talk for him, because he doesn't connect. And so at least mix him in with people who are already connecting. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I wasn't like, oh, shit. It was just all like, oh, okay, I guess he's back. It's very static, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Cody winning being predictable I didn't think it was the worst thing just because it worked. And to be honest, like, it wasn't Punk, because it really felt like they might go Punk. You know what's funny is I listen to Sam Roberts' podcast, and he's such a Punk fan. He tries so hard to make sure that everyone is also a Punk fan. And he even says things like, we all want this for Punk. And it's like, no, we all don't want this for Punk, right? Punk's got to earn something. He said that he was at Rumble, and he was like, he was sure Punk was going to win. He wanted Punk to win. And he was like, partway through that Rumble, it started feeling like, oh my God, Cody better win. This crowd wants Cody to win. And he's like, we all kind of like changed our minds. I was like, no, nobody changed their mind. Everyone came in with the mentality. You just were so blinded by your bias. And we all get blinded by our bias that you're like, well, we're all clearly going for Punk. And then he walks into a big stadium where no one's gunning for Punk. And it was all like, oh, we've switched. And it's like, no.
Yeah, yeah.
You just are finally surrounded by the energy that you understand that there's a different crowd base.
I almost named my podcast How We See It.
Oh, yeah.
Because the W and then that was going to be part of the search thing. So if you search WWE, but it's also because of Sam Roberts. I stopped
Yeah.
listening to his show because he would speak with a collective opinion. It's not like collective fact, it's collective
Yeah.
opinion,
Yeah.
and it's like, no, dude, I don't see it that way. And you literally tell me that if I don't see it this way, I'm wrong. No, I see it differently. This is how we see it. That we that you're talking about, Sam, it's how we see it. So that was going to be the original name of the podcast. But I came up with some completely dumber. TW Takes Podcast on Twitter, TWTakesPodcast.com. But no, man, I'm with you. Like, it's the right move for the match, but is Drew getting in the way of Cody's story more drama and something Cody to overcome? You know what I mean? Because again, this is a guy, and I'm glad we're here.
Yep.
Cody opening his press conference the way he did is exactly why I don't like Cody the wrestler. Everyone who says I'm not the guy, I'm getting gifs from Sean Ross Sapp, and I'm doing this and doing that, and I've beat Seth 3 times. He's the best wrestler of my generation. I beat Brock Lesnar. He's the most prolific combat wrestler of all time. I'm face-to-face with CM Punk, who's, one of the... You've already overcome every single best. Okay, so you're going to do this one too. Like, you're not persevering through the story. You're accomplishing the story as you see fit. You just so happen not to beat Roman at Mania last year, and you just so not happen to beat Brock once. Other than that, you do exactly what you want. Again, if Cody lost the torn pec match, I'd probably be a Cody fan right now because I'd be rooting for him to overcome. But all Cody had to do after he tore his pec was heal. Because once he healed, he won the Rumble. Like, there's nothing to overcome because he won with the torn pec. So, Cody comes out with this fucking vim and vigor and this vitriol from fucking people who didn't even speak yet because he built this narrative in his head that people are against him. You've literally been the standard bearer since you walked in the door because you don't lose. You win everything, and you are the face of it. I listened to Cody Reynolds speak about how he is doing the best John Cena impersonation of anyone since John Cena. It's like, yeah, man, that's what you're doing. We get it. You are the guy. We see you everywhere. You're on the cover. You're winning. You got merch. You're doing commercials. I get it. But he lacks the awareness. What's that?
He was on Fallon. It's cool.
Right. Yeah. But he lacks the awareness that, we know this. We know exactly what you're talking about. You're building this thing in your head that's not apparent. It is. And to live in that AEW world where Sean Ross Sapp's not allowed at WWE, because if he was, he'd be there.
Yeah.
But the other Fightful guy was there. Nick was there. He even talked shit on Wade Keller. He's living in the dirt sheets. He brings up Sean Ross Sapp's name. He talked about Wade Keller, and he talks to Nick Houseman as if no one else is in the room. He even said it. Nick, why are you introducing yourself every single time? Oh, yeah, that's right. That's for everyone else, not us. It's like, that's what this is, Cody. You're talking to everyone else. But he's acting as if he's still inside this dirt sheet bubble that helped create AEW, which, thank you. But also, step out of that and realize that, we're watching this, dude. You know what I mean? It's very tough. It's very
But
tough.
At the same time, you completely discredit everything he ever did up until his recent WWE debut. When he came back at Mania Dallas, you pretend like nothing happened before then. The part of his story and a lot of his story is not only the legacy of his dad and carrying that through and the struggles he went through, but literally the struggles of being his dad's son, struggling in the WWE system, being strapped with Dashing Cody Rhodes, being strapped with Stardust, getting to the point where they said, kid, you're just not going to get there. And having to quit his dream job to go to these VFW halls, to go to these 20 seat arenas, bingo halls or whatever, and be a part of something else that fell apart under his feet. And then kind of having the opportunity to where I can't stay here and I really don't want to do anything else. You know what I mean? It wasn't that he was forced to be, but he wasn't forced to leave AEW. It just wasn't going to work anymore, right? It was falling beneath him, this thing he'd helped build. He's walking in with the story of all the WWE struggles and the life coming into this, and you're walking into the Cody Rhodes thing like, well, day one is you versus Seth at Mania. But his whole story, this whole finish the story has to do with I started my developmental on the main roster at fucking 18 years old, and that was fucking tough.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this before, and where Cody doesn't give me credit as a fan, so fuck him, is I was a Stardust fan. He said no one's a Stardust fan. I was a Stardust fan, and I thought Golden Stardust was awesome. I thought his match with Dustin at Fastlane was incredible. I thought his matches with Neville were awesome. I was a Stardust fan. So to say that it didn't have fans, I get it because you hated yourself in that moment. You can't project happiness from others, right? But what we've talked about before is what, like when he goes away and he builds himself into a talked about name. I watched his bull rope match with Jay Lethal. I watched his match with Dustin, which was, we've talked about on here, was amazing. Loved it. Mm-hmm. That was the peak as far as a performer goes. His personal battles, personal struggles, I get it, dude. We all have them. And I'm glad for you to build this story. But it is a Cody isolated story because there were people when they pulled the ladder out at WrestleMania with the polka dots all over it in the Intercontinental match, like I felt that because that was after Dusty passed, and it was just this beautiful thing that connected everything together. But because he struggles with imposter syndrome because he's not his dad, that's not necessarily my fault as a fan to make sure that he overcomes that for himself. You know what I mean? So like,
no, you're way off. You're way off. It wasn't an imposter syndrome. It was that Goldust didn't main event a single pay-per-view. Stardust wasn't going to main event a WrestleMania. Stardust wasn't going to go and face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania in any world, no matter how much time, no matter how many fans he has. Stardust was never going to be big enough as a character to be the guy on the cover of 2K24. It wasn't just that he felt imposter syndrome. He felt capped because he was literally capped. This is where you are. This moment, you in this ladder match at the Intercontinental title that you will not win, this is the peak of your career. You can be in an Intercontinental match every year, So it wasn't just that, like, I'm kind of in over my head. It was not only am I sort of in over my head, but they're also telling me this is the top for me.
So,
and I can see that there's definitely a top higher.
So I agree with you in that scenario, and I don't give that enough credit that he did break the glass ceiling of the mid card to turn himself into a main eventer. But to my point, it's on cachet and theme song because there's not much depth of actual character showing that resilience because I have to pay attention to stuff that hasn't happened on TV. You know what I mean? So like I have to make sure I follow the AEW storyline and that growth to go, this is why. Because for instance, when Brock Lesnar walks in the UFC and has a title match in his third fight, well, we at least had to see the 3 fights beforehand. And I'm not seeing that with Cody on why he's that strong. He's just resilient. We always have the same conversation by the end of it. So I do agree. But when I look at someone in the same breath like Mustafa Ali right now, he's 3 weeks on the independent scene and is creating the same amount of buzz Cody did, the same amount of buzz that Matt Cardona does. If Matt Cardona and Ali come back, why aren't they positioned in the same place Cody are? Because he didn't create a company? Because the last name isn't Rhodes? He's still at the top of the card because his last name is Rhodes.
No, because those guys, for one, Cardona's creating way more buzz than Ali is. Ali is not creating any buzz. All I've seen is that he made his debut in GCW, did the one thing. I haven't seen much about it, heard much about it. He's doing the same old. He's still got to get somewhere, right? Cody had very little buzz when he hit the independents, and he had to build a buzz. He was on there for a couple years before he started really gaining buzz. I didn't even realize he was wrestling on the independents till Kev told me. He goes, oh yeah, he's going by this American Nightmare thing now. And I was like, really? I was like, that's kind of crazy. That's smart, because it does American Dream. That's clever. I wonder how that's looking. I had to track him down to find some of his stuff in ROH, and I liked some of it. I didn't like other of it, and I didn't watch all of it. But the word that he was out doing that stuff was there. The only one who's got reasonably close buzz to what Cody was doing, because people were watching him being like, this guy should be in WWE, right? That's the difference between him and a bunch of other people who get a lot of buzz on the indies, is no one's watching a lot of these guys and saying they should be in WWE or they should have never left. He had to rebuild everything because he had to scrap and start as Cody Rhodes. which is where he started when he was a failure, right? He was Cody Rhodes when he hit the scene. They said, we're taking that away because you're not good enough for any of this. We're going to give you all this stuff and we're going to cover you up as much as we can. He had to go back and say, I'm starting back from square one with very little in between. And it's not like none of it's played out on TV. Even the WWE thing, even if all you do is watch WWE and get to Stardust disappeared after this thing, and years later he reemerges like a phoenix with smoke everywhere, an American flag jacket, and this big rock anthem and this massive presentation, you go, this is different. This is bigger. Presentation means something. You know what I mean? Last time I saw him, he came out and went, whew, and you're like, that's goofy. That's silly. He looks, oh, I guess it's a knockoff his brother, right? But to come back and be like, no, I'm the fucking American Nightmare. The camera coming up from below, it's cinematic. So even if all you saw was Stardust and then now, it's dramatically different. And you go, this is bigger. This is different. He's done something. I may not know what, but he is not the same. You know what I mean? Like that's there.
Yeah, no, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. And past the presentation and all of that, the words out of the microphone and the perseverance wrestling, it just doesn't do it for me.
All of his crying.
All of his crying. Yeah.
Yeah. You hate how much he cries.
No, I just thought I cried twice watching Naomi, just stand there. I don't mind it, but again, I think it projects how much of a personal story it is as opposed to a professional story being told on TV, a la the build of the tribal chief, right? Like the build of main event Jey Uso. There's an actual build of a character that I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. I don't. Yeah, finish your story, Cody. Go ahead. Finish it so we can fucking watch something else because it's your story.
Isn't that also part of the struggle? That he had this massive character development and change and it couldn't be televised? Isn't that a little bit like the Revolution will not be televised? You know what I mean? In his world, like the idea that like, hey, we get to see this tag team wrestler become a main eventer before our eyes, but this guy doesn't even get the chance to do that in front of your eyes. He has to go into the darkness to do something and change and come back. Like it's part of his character struggle of, I had to do all this on my own without anybody watching. Like that's tough. That's resilient in and of itself, right? The fact that he didn't just quit and give up. The fact he wasn't just like, I guess this is what I do. You know what I mean? Like that in and of itself is a story. You know what I mean? Sometimes the lack of presence is something.
There's an absolute chance that I go back and watch this stuff, I don't know, in 2030 and go, you know what? This came off a lot better now than it did back when I was watching it. There's 1,000% chance. Because I get it. I've been there live when it happens. There is that there. But back to math. The math of the matches and the way he talks on the microphone, there's a complete disconnect. It just does not add up for me.
Dude, and let's talk about the Seth promo. We get to it, and then maybe we'll talk a little more Cody or Punk. Maybe we won't. But Seth coming out there and cutting that promo on Cody. I heard some people say in one of my group chats that in 10 minutes, Seth just brought so much more weight and gravitas to the world title than he has in 10 months of having those matches. And then the other person goes, but he had to have all those to be able to have the weight to be able to dump this on here. Right. And so I get what they're saying, what they're trying to say. Before I tell you what I heard in this, I want to know how you interpreted this, where Seth says, this is the working man's title. This is the blue collar title. Roman's got the Hollywood title, the politicky title. You and I both know what your dad would have wanted. You should be facing me. What did you get out of this promo before I tell you exactly what I heard?
So I got reality out of it. So the same reality that Cody is trying to speak, there was reality to what Seth was saying. So there was an actual attachment to Cody's story and the belt in today's terms, right? Like Roman's belt is what his dad never won because that's the lineage. But when you talk about who his dad was and what this particular title is said to be, then that reality actually makes more sense. Other than that, I got nothing.
Here's what I heard. Cody has to challenge Roman. because Seth has no idea what he's talking about. And here's where it comes from. Yes, his dad held the Workhorse Championship. So did Cody. Cody's held literally every Workhorse Championship in every company he's ever been to. The TNT title was not the world title. It was the Workhorse Championship that he went out there and defended every week. The NWA title that his daddy held was on the road every night of the year, right? Cody held that title too. Dusty held that title. But the picture on the mantle was the one time. The picture on Dusty's mantle was the one time he held that world title, that Politicky Hollywood title, that something more title for just a moment before it was taken away, because that's how important that was to his family's name, that the Rhodes didn't have to be strictly blue collar workhorses, that they could be more, that they could be Hollywood, that they could politic maybe in a better way. Maybe I can work so hard, I can work through the politics, right? But if the workhorse title meant so much to his dad, then that title would have been above the mantle. And all the pictures of all the times he was a champion would have been on the mantle. But it wasn't. It was the one time he held the one title that Seth is trying to say Cody doesn't belong with. But Seth saying he doesn't belong with that title is exactly why he needs to go for it, to prove the Rhodes legacy is bigger than just this workhorse title.
So I'm so frustrated right now because what you just said is not laid out on TV. That's not like it's about, like, Cody's story is about what couldn't be materialistically. That right, like even his fucking thing, his song, there's more than one royal family in wrestling, or whatever the fuck it is. Wrestling has more than one royal family. Like, we project that because we know who Dusty is, right? And Dustin has been wrestling for 40 years. But the cachet of the royal family, like, royalty has capes and crowns and jewels and decorations and all that shit. But his story is so honed in on the materialistic of the title that the depth of what you said isn't plastered that way. And if it is, then Cody doesn't articulate it properly to get me to buy in. But the way you said it is so much more palatable than the things that I've seen on TV that go, well, I want this guy to do this. And there was one match that he had in AEW where they did that long shot promo with him kissing Brandy and all this stuff. You know, it was early on, because you might have seen it. And that type of behind the scene thing felt so forced because of the EVP stuff. It was early on. Yeah. But anyway, my point is that type of relatability, accountability, and transparency for the title isn't quite there. I have to finish my story because my dad didn't do it. Okay. But that legacy, that ingratiation to it. Like when Roman was doing his tribal thing, they did a fucking Samoan landscape of everything to tell you why the culture is this thing. And Cody had one video package that was kind of dope, which was the, coming back from the Peck. Oh, and the other one too, going into SummerSlam, wasn't too bad either. About how the downfall of, losing that Mania and what it did to him. So, like, I don't know, man. Like, particularly you, Marsh, should not be able to articulate Cody's story better than he can. And that's
he hasn't yet. He hasn't yet, because Seth
laid it out. He's had 2 fucking years, dude. He's had 2 years to do it.
No. I'm saying in this particular instance, first off, I believe if you go back to his first promo where he shows the picture, I think he says a lot of that. But this was set up so Seth could say, this is why you need to go for it. And he goes, I got a lot to think about. My hope is that Cody comes back with, you're absolutely right, which is why I can't go for that title. And then lay it out. Everything you said is not wrong, but it's not the goal. You know what I mean? Like,
he would have to bury Seth.
Yeah.
And that title.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he would literally say it's not good enough.
Yep. Yeah, and it's not. And it's definitely not. And Seth said it's not. But he said it with this weird confidence of like, I'm proving that this is everything. because it's less than that one. And then it's like, well, he's not on God mode. He's just in Hollywood, and he's not better than all of us. He's just untouchable. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it's
yeah.
just one of those weird
How
things,
could someone be better if they're never here?
right? You know, and then I don't know. It feels to me like this is Cody's chance to really lay it in that, like, the whole point of the story is to prove that we're not just sons of plumbers, that we can be the face, that we can be Hollywood, that we don't have to be crowded in polka dots.
Well, and I guess you're right, because, that was my problem with Punk's promo to Cody a couple weeks ago. I'm more the American dream than you are. Yeah, because Cody's not trying to be the American dream. He's trying to be more than that. He's trying to be at worst the nightmare. So I'll concede to that, because again, I'm so drawn out with Cody and his singular mission that I haven't put that piece together. That this has been laying out how he is above the workhorse of it, above the blue collar, because my family is royalty. Listen to the song, Seth. My family's royalty.
Yeah. I mean, he's held the IC title. You know what I mean? Every place he goes to, it's not the face of the company. It's the one step below.
Mid-Carter. Oh, life.
Yep. And where did he debut? Where did he debut in WrestleMania?
Yeah.
At the fucking middle of the show. Remember when I told you what the timestamp was and the amount of hours? And it was like 2 minutes from the exact center. He debuted massively in the mid-card. He's here to close the show and hold the title up. That lets everyone know that that's the reason he's on the cover of everything. Because the Rhodes name isn't just a plumber's legacy. You know what I mean?
Is there a chance? All right, what do you think? Because just be honest, just between me and you. You know how I see things, and I know how you can completely explain those. What are the chances that this becomes too much of the same and people turn on him, or it just becomes iconic?
I think it depends on how this Mania goes. I think that's decided right after Mania. I think if he wins in the right way, it's iconic. I think if he loses in the right way or the wrong way, I think it becomes, all right, we're done. I mean, it becomes like Gargano. Remember I told you Gargano in NXT for me was great. I loved him in NXT. He was Johnny Wrestling. He was all heart. But after a while, he just lost so many matches that mattered that I was like, okay, well, I'm done rooting for you. You're not good at this. You know what I mean? I do think that could happen to Cody if they're not careful.
If he wins and he continues down this path of Cena style, overt babyface, overcomes absolutely everything. I guess that's what I was kind of getting at. If he just continues to win in this fashion, this character continues to do this story, this storytelling style, I should say, because whether he wins at Mania or not, especially if he wins at Mania, though, if he wins at Mania and continues to go down this path of I'm the face of the company, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, what are the chances it's iconic as opposed to falling on its face? Because I don't know how much longer he can do this.
I don't know either, but people said that about Cena year 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think there's also time to be told. I mean, and I didn't watch a lot of Cena's run because even as like a fan who had started to check out, every time I looked in, he seemed to be the champion. And I was like, all right, well, they're just doing the same old, same old. So I think you will turn people off. I think there are people who stopped watching because Roman's still the champion. But I do think that Cody has brought people to continue to watch because they want to see the downfall, right? I think if they're not careful, the running along with Roman could hurt Cody more than Cody's story would hurt Cody. You know what I mean?
Yes. And I think
fatigue is a real thing.
Yeah. I think if he beats Roman at Mania and continues to do this character thing, he's got maybe till the following Mania before it starts to fall, because it's just one note. But look, to your point, Cena did that, right? And as much as the adults hated it, the kids love it and still love it. There's kids who weren't born when it started. There's kids that weren't born now that are going to love it in 5 years.
Yeah.
So there's a chance that the weight belt is now the hat and the armbands, that it's just going to be forever. And that's okay. I just want to like it, and I don't.
No. I mean, I didn't like seeing him for a while. It took a while, like, of me, like, not watching for a while and then coming back and being like, wait, you know what? Cena's good and has been for a really long time. And then going back and watching stuff, I'm like, oh my God, he's amazing. Like, I feel like Cena was better on a rewatch than he was the first time through for me.
See, Cena and Cody are actually the opposites for me, where I find Cody's cachet more appealing than his wrestling, and I hated Cena's cachet, but enjoyed his wrestling. So like when people are saying you can't wrestle, I'm like, well, actually, he's pretty fucking good. All his character stuff is stupid. But
Well, that
like,
was also part of it. I wasn't watching full on matches all the time. I was watching what he was saying and doing.
yeah.
So I was like, all right, that's the champ, I guess. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I was like, oh yeah, he's not bad. And just kind of moved on.
Yeah.
And I was like, feels like the same. But so I wasn't as into it. And it's like, since getting back into it in 2015, going back and rewatching a ton of his stuff, I'm like, God damn, this guy was so keyed in so early. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's how Cody ends up feeling later on, just like, oh, wait a second. He just had it right early in a sense. You know what I mean? Like there was a lot before that wasn't, like just like ruthless aggression. There was a lot that wasn't keyed in, but that moment it was locked in. You know what I mean?
I think, yeah, and I think a lot of people, and this, I'm not sticking up for my side, but I do think a lot of people who overly root for anyone, but especially Cody in this instance, they're undervaluing how important he is without needing a title.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
that's. I think they can incredibly undervalue that. Yeah.
Yeah. He's massive. He's the biggest draw right now that they have. They sold out that live show in Detroit in an arena by just putting his name on it. There was no champions on it. There was no bloodline. It was just Cody is going to be here, and they sold out. People are coming to see him. Like he's got a lot. I don't think he needs to be the champion to do it, but I do think if his story is proving and maybe they even tell that if the point of your story is to prove that you could be the guy, well, then you've done that. And if you just want to take the title home to daddy one time,
Yeah.
like you can have that too, but it's not the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a story they can tell after the fact because he can get the title. Because people are like, what's next when he finishes the story? Well, what could change is that he realizes that's not the story.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He could win it and be like, well, I did it, but it didn't feel different. You know what I mean?
That was a bummer too about his press conference, is that he related his story to losing to Roman at Mania. So he now included Roman into his story. And I'm like, it's a letdown, man, because now the narrative on the outside is going to be he has to beat Roman. They were saying that before, but he doesn't. It's always been the title, but now, oh well, guess what? This happened while I was telling my story. A new troll under the bridge happened, so now I have to defeat that troll before I go to the next step. It's like, well, that wasn't part of the story when you walked in the door, you know. Because he even said it, I fucking hate the way he talks to the fucking media. Like, and I've been very careful. I've never said our champion's name out of my mouth. Like when he did that at the press conference once, it's like, dude, we get it. Just go, like, do your thing and run your story. But like the fact that he was trying to be so specific that it was the title, not the man, and he'll address the title when it comes to it. Like, because anything can happen in WWE, right? If Roman loses tomorrow, which match are you taking? Are you taking Roman or are you taking the title? Like,
exactly.
So,
and I agree. I don't think it has to be Roman. It just in this moment, it's got to be Roman because he's holding that cachet.
Yeah.
And again, to me, Cody's story is proving that the roads aren't mid card for life, for legacy, forever. And I think he's already proven that in a lot of ways. But he said when he got there, they took the title away from his daddy in the garden, and he just wants to take it home to his dad. He wants to say, look, Dad, I did it. But that doesn't mean that that's the end of like that legacy, right? He needs to keep going. So I do think that there's something there.
One last thing about the Rumble, because we're on Roman and Cody. During the 4-way match, there was an incredibly sound, volumed up "This is awesome" chant.
Mm-hmm.
When it was CM Punk and Cody in the Rumble, you can hear them trying to start a CM Punk chant, didn't really get over. Trying to start a "This is awesome" chant, didn't really get over. Is that and I said this, there was 4 fucking matches. Yes, it was 4 hours, but there was 4 matches. You ain't that fucking tired. You didn't watch that much drama happen. So at the end of the night, to have those be the 2 and the "This is awesome" not come through like it did for Bianca and Rhea, You know what I mean? To not happen even just earlier in that night, same crowd with the 4-way match. I think they should take that into account when you're presenting these guys as your top end all be all.
I think that was the Punk thing. I think people are so split on Punk. I don't think they're very split on Cody, but they're definitely split on Punk. They don't know if they want to like him or not. They don't know if this is good or not. You had theoretically, which someone was talking about, Punk is flirting with being a heel. No, he's been a full-blown heel this whole time. He's talked shit on all the good guys. He's talked bad about every single one of the good guys, and he's trying to get in the way of your top babyface. And he's told him to his face, I'm gonna get in your way. He's a bad guy. That's all there is to it, and it's fine. But the crowd's not sure what to think because they think they're supposed to be happy to see him, but then he says all this mean shit to their favorites.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that in that moment, they have these two dudes where they're like, we're supposed to love that this guy is here, but he's trying to stop our guy from winning and we want him to win. That I think that it was just too much confusion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The crowd split because they don't know how to feel about Punk. And I think it's because Punk hasn't earned the reactions that are solid. He either needs to go full blown so people who are fans of his don't think, I wonder if he's flirting with this or that. It should be a lot more definitive. Kick someone in the balls if you have to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then they show the picture of Cody in the back crying, or not Cody, Punk hugging Cody in the back crying, saying, finish your story. You were just saying you're going to stop him from finishing the story. You know what I mean? And now you're the good guy. Like, just fucking lean into one or the other. Like, this weird shades of gray is why they have such mixed reactions in there, because Cody's still the guy. Punk just isn't and is acting like he is, and it's confusing everybody. I love Drew's promo on Punk.
How about the following promos on Twitter? Have you seen that shit? He is posting photos nonstop. He's retweeting and quote tweeting all the CM Punk downfall with pictures of just shitting all over it. If you scroll Drew's Twitter and then, you hit me back and go, yeah, I watched it, I looked at it, I would say, who's your favorite heel in WWE right now? You would say Drew.
Well, I'm torn because I'm loving everything he does on Punk. And he's got to fuck around with my boy Sammy. And I'm like, all right, dude, come on now. You've gone too far.
I thought Drew was fantastic.
Yeah.
I hated CM Punk's promo because it's,
okay.
Well, again, articulate, is able to say the words, but the cheap response for sympathy when you haven't come out that way, you've come out arrogant, nonsensical, and doing your thing, the CM Punk thing. But he basically was trying to be Phil Brooks on the microphone, and I don't have time for that. Not when you didn't try to do that in the beginning, because you didn't give me a reason to care about your wrestling, so I don't care if you come back. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, again, the Charlotte of it. We talked about it when she went down. It's like, well, you were being forced into this damage control storyline that now that you're not forced into that storyline, this story can flourish. And it has. It's grown immensely since Charlotte got injured. It's not about her being injured. It's about her not being there. So with CM Punk not being there, it makes it so much easier to watch this stuff, because we were trying to figure out, where are they going to shoehorn him in? Is he going to be in the Seth match in the opening? Is he going to close the show with Cody? Is he going to close the show with Seth? Drew McIntyre cuts this fire promo on him a couple weeks ago, and it's like, fuck, are we getting CM Punk and Drew? And now it looks like we're getting CM Punk and Drew as soon as he's healed. Yeah.
Which, I mean, you don't want people injured, but I mean, we aren't talking about serious injuries. We're just talking about setbacks, and we're not talking about the territory days where if you don't work, you don't get paid. These guys are paid. They're taken care of, guys and women alike, and they're going to be fine, and everything's fine. And I agree that, like, the injuries are a bummer and a terrible happenstance that happens in this industry. But in some cases, the storylines are so overwrought and crowded with people who don't belong in them that their injuries have been a happy accident that everyone benefits from. Because now, whenever Charlotte comes back, she won't be in the middle of someone else's storyline, hopefully, right? When CM Punk comes back, he's got his own storyline with Drew to start with, so we can start to root for him or root against him. I don't know. Root for him, I think. But they're just being shoehorned so fast because they're like, well, this event's coming up, so we got to get to it now, right? This gives them all time to breathe and all time to work, and this gives them the opportunity to come back and do something meaningful instead of being a part of somebody else's meaningful, which is downplaying it, Stop
Yeah.
watering it down with too many people. But yeah, I love that Drew thing. He's like, I'm not a spiritual man, but I prayed for this. I was like, oh, such a fucking asshole thing.
Yeah. It was
So fucking good.
That's the kind of Drew promo that we've been looking for when he was the Terminator and even the good guy when he was trying to be like all funny and silly. It's like, no, just make your promo relatable to your character and have it sound authentic. Bang.
Yeah.
Like Drew has been trying to find his way to the top of the card, and saying that you prayed for someone who took your spot to get injured is perfect.
Yeah.
Now make it sound believable. Bang. He crushed it. Absolutely crushed it.
Yeah. It was awesome, dude. It was awesome.
You said his name like 3 times without even using the fart gun. That's how good he's doing.
That is how good he's doing, dude. He's fucking crushing it. Like, it's crazy. This is the Drew I've been wanting to boo for a long time. I've been saying it. I only have one final thing to bring up at all. If you're ready to wrap this up, just welcome back Pat McAfee. He had a fun little spot in the Rumble. Climbed in, climbed out. I thought it was funny because people are trying to say that The Rock is stealing someone's spot. Even Justin Time said it in our chat in episode 1, I think a week or 2 ago. But no one's complaining that Pat McAfee went in there and stole somebody's spot for 34 seconds. You know what I mean?
It's so fun. Yeah, it's so funny because the popular thing to say was, oh, well, that was supposed to be Brock Lesnar, but he was implicated in the lawsuit. So that's why Pat McAfee did it. They did it on well, what else are we going to do?
Oh, and then they gave the spots to Braun Breaker, but they gave the number to Pat.
Yeah, it's dumb shit like that. Like again, people say whatever they want to. Now, I do think that the Pat McAfee thing wasn't necessarily planned because he was wearing cowboy boots. He was in no position to be in the ring. So I don't think he was in on it. But, I could just be getting worked in that moment, and they did it for fun.
Or he could have well known that he's going to be in that spot and he will not be wrestling. So
what's the
make
best
it
way
look
he
even
can
more
do
real?
this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it look more real. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that he's back. I'm assuming I thought maybe this puts Wade Barrett and Corey together on Friday.
So.
Yeah, I saw one headline to an article, but I didn't remember who it was from, so I know I didn't trust it, so I didn't click on it. But I had guessed that when I saw McAfee and Cole together, because Cole mentioned Wade Barrett on Monday Night Raw when Bronson Reed did the tsunami. And if Wade was here, he would say, I was like, oh, okay, so it's not like he got discharged.
Yeah.
I was actually hoping for Wade Barrett and Booker T on NXT, and then Vic Joseph and Corey Graves together on SmackDown. I think that would be great. I don't know necessarily how Wade Barrett and Booker T would go together, but Vic and Corey I think would work good. But if Wade Barrett goes to SmackDown, that means Corey Graves is now in the Michael Cole role, where he's the analyst instead of the color commentator. And
but Corey's been given a lot of new people on commentary and has been controlling the desk as color, which is a remarkably difficult thing to do that he's been doing successfully. I think he might stay relatively the same, but be slightly toned down and still be doing the same stuff. You know what I mean? I do think we're probably a little bit farther away from it than we want to believe, but him being on SmackDown, I do think means that we're probably not too many months away from Carmella coming back. I hope. You know what I mean? Because she was a SmackDown talent.
Yeah, for sure. We've talked about, even the last time Beard was on here was when McAfee signed the ESPN deal, and you had this first thing you brought up. Do you think this, puts him away from WWE for a long time, McAfee? And my whole thing was, as long as football's not happening, there's a chance. But the fact that McAfee gets to be on Raw now, that's pretty cool because he did SmackDown before. So yeah, and Graves and Wade should be cool together. I wonder if he's going to switch sides. Is he going to sit in the left chair now?
I know. I was wondering about that too. Where's he going to sit?
Right.
Yeah. But that's all I had, man.
No, the buddies just jumped in the chat.
I saw that.
What's up, fellas? It's probably just Jordan.
Good morning, chaps.
He has nothing to do.
Chat Grapple and Cheap Pops coming through just in time for last call.
Yeah, man.
You want to tell people where to find you?
At TW Takes Podcast on Twitter, twtakespodcast.com, on this show every Wednesday, and on Chat Grapple and Cheap Pops sometime soon, because I'm calling them out right now. So fuck it. Yeah,
call them out, dude. I don't think they'll, they don't follow through on shit like that. They They ain't like, they ain't got it like that. You know what I mean?
They called me out for like 6 episodes in a row, and after
Really?
the first one, I was like, "Yeah, I'll do it," and then we just never coordinated it. So I kept telling them that they were dodging me.
Oh yeah, dude, they've been dodging you. It's easy to tell. Like they're
They're dodging me right now. They haven't even responded in the chat to have me.
Dude, they're dodging. They're just like, oh, my internet slowed down.
Yeah, whatever. No, this was fun, man. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, this was really cool to break it down, and I think that I'm going to have a bonus episode sometime this week as well with just me and Beard. He started watching a bunch again with the old lady, and he's like, he wanted to catch up on a few things. He's got a few questions, so I think me and him are going to break down some stuff. So keep an eye out for that. So put the I and subscribe. You can put the no and notification if you like. It's all up to you. But guys, you can find me all over the place. Just fucking Google. Check out Pro Wrestling Spotlight with John Arezzi. Go to WrestlingOnTheRocks.com. My website's like barely even working now. The videos are dead, and I don't even know why, but I don't know, dude. Whatever. Technical difficulties. Guys, we'll be back right here in the dive bar of the IWC. That's what it's called.
Cheers.
Producer Lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support and buy us a drink by putting the I and subscribe and reviewing our podcast. And cheers to Fans First Sports Network for keeping the dive bar lights on.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.